Hello and welcome everyone to LCS Challengers week number 1, day number 2. We're starting up the season and boy does it feel good to be back. I am Eric Desarex Beltran, joined by of course the Ethiopian E-Boy. It is Beatdown Boulevard. I'm gonna keep calling you that, man. How you doing today, brother? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Eric. I'm super excited. I said it in the tweet. Excited to be back on NACL Summer, and I'm excited to be back here with you, bro. The Caramel Duo is back at it again to close Twix Bros. That's what it was to close out week 1 of NACL. We got some great matches to do it as well, but I think before that, we have some other things we need to talk about, Eric. Why don't you start us off?
The discussion has been more, and that's
True.
what our mindset is going into the summer, because Fearless wasn't enough. We want to do the full Fearless now, and that's going to be the case.
Right.
What that means is if a champion is selected by one team, it will be banned from both teams, a step up from what we had last season.
Yeah, and I think the initial Fearless that we played with early on in the year was already a really exciting change. So it's fun to see that we're kind of just going all the way and fully sending it and just making it so that we're getting really deep into those champion pools when we get to those later series, especially when we get to best of 5s and playoffs.
Because we got more best of 5s and playoffs as well as more money. We got the money matches on week 4 and week 5. More partnerships, Dragonsteel and Starforge, and of course the live finals, which will be at the Riot Game Arena. So we're really set up here for a good season, B.
We are. There's so much to be excited about. There's so much to look forward to. I have more thoughts on Dragonsteel that I will say later, but the another thing, too, to talk about is that, of course, you mentioned it, the partnerships, but let's look at all of our teams in general, Eric. I mean, we have a lot of familiar faces, but of course, we have promotion relegation, and we got some new faces coming into the league. I'm looking at Blue Otter, CCG, Winthrop University. And for those who are wondering, where is Maryville University? That's the partnership Eric mentioned. They are now Dragonsteel. Shout out Brandon Sanderson for the partnership.
I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't get the Maryville McDonald's, but hey, you know, it is what it is. As well as Winthrop making it in as well. So fun to see, you know, as well as the partnerships that we got going. You already mentioned one in Dragonsteel. There's the Fear Starforge one. So more creators in the space. It's bound to be a fun season.
Yes, we love that. And of course, the returning creator in DSG is very exciting to see once again here in NACL Summer. And of course, you mentioned it. These are some of the teams we're going to be seeing today in our upcoming matches. We're starting off with DSG versus Fear X Starforge, and then we're going to have Team Liquid Honda Challenger versus AOE. And, well, even though some of these rosters, I'm looking at TLC, who have retained a lot of their members, we still have a lot of new faces that we're going to be seeing and talking about tonight.
New faces and old faces as well. I mean, Moose Hater's back over on
That's
AOE.
True.
We got XU who's returning. You know, there's definitely a lot of talent that's looking to reestablish their name here alongside the newer talent that is coming up into Tier 2. So definitely going to have some banger matches here for today, but I want to start off with this first one because that is the road we are going down. That is going to be Disguised versus Fear X Starforge. So let's pull up the rosters first. Now, last split beat, DSG managed a roster with good players that just didn't synergize well. Now we're taking the core of that roster. We've made some changes. Yukino and Tomo have now joined the lineup. On paper, it seems much more cohesive.
100%. I'm a big fan of Yukino. Of course, when we had that bit of an exodus with regards to challengers teams affiliated with LCS last year, Yukino was one of the many players we were sad to see fall through the cracks. A very promising young jungler, showed a lot of potential, and it's great to see that a year later, he's made his way back to us.
Especially with some of the other talent that we have here from DSG. I remember DSG, kind of frustrating thing was they weren't really establishing their identity throughout the season. It was a tail off the season that we saw Tenacity and Young really start to kick up. And now that these players are still part of this roster, I'm very, very curious to see how this roster is going to interact as they're up against Fear X Starforge. Now, this squad, I mean, it's a new Fear, same Philip. But Fear X Starforge, they built a roster with some outstanding talent. You got ABO, who's on his old man Logan arc. You got XU, who's on Dig last split. The question I'll be asking today is, how do these players interact on the Rift?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. When I look at this Fear X Starforge roster, I think when we all got together as a team and talked about this team, we just kind of expected XU and Ablaze Olive. They're going to be running through most of the mid jungles here throughout the rest of the split. This is basically a team we're expecting to have some pretty high highs. We know we've seen some good things from Winsome, and Instinct is a player from the OQs who I feel like didn't get a fair shake last year when he played with FlyFam, who I think actually could also show us a little bit more of what he's capable of.
Definitely puts a very interesting matchup ahead of us because you can see where the power lies with some of these teams. Like when I look at Fear X Starforge, I feel like XU and ABO are going to kind of run the league, man. These are two very, very deadly players that you have to go against.
100%, and that's the interesting thing too. XU is a player who was, a very competent LCS jungler. You all probably saw what happened. If you watch here, you definitely keep up with LCS. The way things went with him on Dig early on, a little unfortunate, but now that he is here, the fact that a player of that caliber gets to play here is a big boon for the team of Fear X Starforge, and of course the return of ABO means about the same thing.
You also have to watch out on the other side when it comes to DSG. Because I am going to start looking at Tenacity at a much more critical lens with this roster of DSG, because he was very solid last split. He spent about 3 years with the 100 Thieves system, a little bit of time as a streamer, also went to Korea to boot camp for a little while. Says he has the thirst and drive to win it all. That's something he said at the start of the year. Now with a better roster, let's prove it, man, as we head into draft.
100%. And remember, guys, just another reminder, this is full Fearless that we're into right now. So that's it. As soon as you see a champion picked, no one else is playing it for the remainder of the series. So even as far as game 3s, we can start to see the real depth of players' champion pools as we get there. And speaking of, and I like that we're getting some respect XU's way, that early Nidalee ban is coming through. One of the many AP junglers that have really shot up in priority lately.
Yeah, and on this meta, we're definitely going to see some interesting champions now taking a front row when it comes to the presence of the draft. Skarner is one of them. Expect to see him permabanned, man. I don't want to see that champion get through.
Don't let LCS fool you. That champ should never get through. If you were watching LCS earlier, a champion, it's not okay, man. I don't like it.
I think Corki is another big one as well that
pretty good.
Hasn't been banned away just yet. Did receive some nerfs on the latest patch. As a bit of a heads up, once we head into phase 2 of the draft, DSG will be losing their 5th ban. So just bringing that up. They were late on the roster deadline, but first pick coming in will be LeBlanc.
And I love that one. That is a Young special right there. A champion that, of course, in general, risen in priority, but Young in particular. Throughout DSG struggles a lot of the time, some of their wins came from Young playing this champion or trying to style on the Irelia, and he put a lot of games on his back, even if they weren't able to close out some of them on a pick like this.
Through a lot of the struggles DSG had, Young was one of those players who were stepping up alongside Tenacity. Now Fear X Starforge looking for their next pick. One of the bigger picks in the mid lane right now has been that Tristana. A lot of teams have been grabbing it, and it seems Fear X Starforge can lock that in for themselves, as well as a pretty high priority marksman pick. Double marksman potentially? Nope. Go away from the Varus and take the Nautilus instead.
I think that's the better lock-in, but it could go either way, really. Varus is also a really high prio champion. Now we've pretty much gone solely towards the poke build, and we have no illusion of where this Tristana is going. We don't need to hide the flex or anything like that. It's Tristana mid. Tristana mid is fantastic right now, so they may as well get themselves 2 power picks at the moment and get their pick of supports later.
Nice to have the double marksman. Does give you a sort of scaling advantage to come forward for Fear X Starforge.
Yeah.
So the response, waiting for the SG. The Vi was left open. You won't get the combo alongside Talia, but it's still some pretty good pick lockdown having it paired with the LeBlanc.
Yeah, when you're playing against champions like the Tristana that are really slippery, really mobile, it is really nice to have that point-and-click ultimate. We could even see the Nautilus get grabbed just to really get this wombo combo going, but of course there are other options for DSG to go for as well.
I want to see if they'll go for that Nautilus. I'm actually surprised they didn't go for it there. It would have been a lot of lockdown for that pick we're talking about. But it is before we get into that final phase, so DSG, they're not going to have as much priority since they did lose that draft ban earlier. So they're opting to go for their top lane right away.
Yeah, and that does, I think that one's perfectly fine. Tenacity is one of the returning players from last split who, honestly, all things considered, despite their struggles, was a pretty solidly performing player and someone we've had high hopes for pretty much the last couple of years that we have seen him.
Oh, yeah.
So with that in mind, you get him a strong matchup, you get him a lane that you can play through. I think it's something Yukino is going to be happy to utilize in the early game.
Here's the thing, though. Your X Starforge were able to get a pretty high priority bot lane in the first phase of this draft. They did get the Varus and Nautilus. What does that really leave up for DSG?
I'm not sure just yet. My eyes are really on what DSG's one ban in this second rotation is going to be, because remember, you called it out, Eric. They're not going to get that second one. Okay, it is going to end up being the Ivern. And you know, that is a really nice pair with the Tristana, and I think is nice with double marksman as well, so that ends up being a good shout. And I'm wondering if BRX Starforge go for just an 80 carry ban, or maybe limit the support options since they already got something so strong with the Nautilus.
I mean, choke down that bottom lane.
Yeah.
Could be a good route to go, especially, as you just mentioned, this is a strong bot lane drafted by Fear X Starforge this far. The final ban to come in, it is going to be Ezreal, so they're pinching that bot lane just as you had mentioned, Beatdown.
Yeah, so and Ezreal got buffed on the patch, has gone up in priority a good bit. Again, if you saw LCS earlier, Quid played it in the mid lane, and he smashed on it. So
they're making jokes about jungle Ezreal and stuff. Like, come on, man.
I mean, I don't know about that. Don't let Rafa hear you. He'll get a little too excited about that one. But yeah, a champion, you know, we're expecting to see maybe in a different game later on into the series. But at this point, again, no second ban in that rotation for DSG, and it's just going to be about probably picking top lane for Philip at this point. You can keep your jungle pick to the end, even though you know you're playing into the vibe, maybe get the best champion that you can. But either way, you kind of have your pick of the litter there, Sphere X Starforge.
Still looking at the support pool for what DSG can really go for here. If they still want to play into something aggressive,
wow,
you're kind of limited on some of the options here. Is Lilia for Fear X Starforge? Pretty interesting to see.
Definitely a bit of a surprise to me with Vi up and available. You don't have to play into Vi Nautilus because Lilia is really bad into engage, especially the point and click. She wants to be able to maneuver the fight very easily, but she is one of the AP junglers that's really shot up in priority with the introduction of Blackfire Torch into the game, really helping with jungle clear and just the extra damage that you can do. So now at this point, DSG, they have that option. They aren't going to go for an all-in support. It looks like they would rather go for the Lucian Nami. Maybe they feel the Vi is enough CC. But I think if you're XU, you're feeling pretty good seeing the Vi being the only point-and-click CC that can come in from a distance.
To be fair, DSG do have a pretty good mid-game spike that they've drafted so far. There's a lot of pick. There's a lot of damage that can come towards that time in the game. As Fear X Starforge, they have one more pick to go through. Let's see how they respond to all this pressure coming out from DSG thus far.
I think you just pick a tank, honestly. I mean, Lucian has some pretty good damage, but I think at this point, not exactly a tank buster, even with the benefit he's received, like all other marksmen with the crit items. I think Gragas would be good. Champion to kind of break up the fight a little bit when it's so clear DSG are trying to move forward. It's great to set up picks. It's someone who can soak up a little bit of damage. I'm expecting Philip to just go straight up tank this game and just eat up as much as he can for the rest of his team.
And last split on Fear, this was one of the picks that Philip actually did very, very well on. So confident onto this champion. Again, this is a pretty interesting draft coming so far. You can very much see the identity that's coming out from DSG. They want to clobber you in the mid game. They want to get an insurmountable lead around there and just run away with the game. What do you see the win condition being for Fear X Starforge?
I mean, you still have a lot of things that you can do in the early game. You have this mid laner who should be getting a lot of mid pressure. That's part of why this Tristana is such a popular pick at the moment. You have Varus, another really strong lane dominant champion. So you kind of want to keep things nice and slow early on because XU's playing Lilia. Eric, you know how it goes. The AP junglers, you want to farm, you want to get that first component going through, and you really want to get the ball rolling before you actually want to fight for anything too seriously here. So DSG, they're the ones who want to push the pace. They're the ones who want Yukino on this Vi to just fight, fight, fight.
That's the thing. Fear X Starforge, they have some pretty good answers to just kind of stall out the game, to poke out the members of DSG, and to find their own answer into this. And look at that. Ooh, Hall of Legends, man. I hope we see more of those on the Rift as that hall grows.
100%. It's cool to see you. The banners as well, NACL, that's us, Eric. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you've heard. But, oh, and there it is. Young's actually rocking the Faker Hall of Legends LeBlanc skin, and there it is. We're already getting some of that representation here in our first game.
Love to see it as Fear X Starforge go for an invade. Not going to find anything other than some information. Bring out that ward. Now, I think this is a good time to reiterate the purpose of Tier 2, because on top of having newer talent like Yukino, who are building their careers, it's still a great place for players to reestablish themselves. One of the prime examples we had was Dokla, who was our first most valuable prospect.
Yeah.
Now, it leaves a stage for players like, for example, ABO, to be able to do something similar.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're going to keep saying this because it's going to keep being true. The path to pro is not linear, and it's just the easiest way we can explain that. You know, things go up and down. Careers have, especially when you're trying to reach the height of anything, there's a bumpy road, and things can happen that you don't expect. So it's cool that there's an opportunity for players who may seem like they're at the twilight of their career, but actually are looking at a chance to revitalize it.
See this aggressive movement coming out from Fear X Starforge, Winsome and Instinct, pulling out towards the jungle to allow XU to get pressure here and take the red side jungle of Yukino.
Yeah, and I'm curious too, because there's a good amount of vision as well on Fear X Starforge's top side.
Pinch.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, I think XU might be... Okay, so he only gets the one camp, and that's Tomo. He's going to lose a little bit of XP early on, but he is going to...
Yukino doesn't have flash. Smite. That hurts.
Eric, talk. My brain, it hurts.
Yeah, that very much hurts right there. Yukino did use Smite earlier, so even though Tomo was able to defend the red buff, XU just said, well, you're still leashing for me, dog.
I mean, Tomo, in the grand scheme, doesn't lose too much. Level 2 was always going to go first to Instinct and Winsome. You were going to get pushed in regardless. But, you know, like, if Yukino got the red buff, that would have felt even better. And it feels like Yukino, in the end, doesn't really have an answer. There's so much vision topside. He's just going to clear out the rest of his camps. Maybe even look for a potential, maybe cheese gank. He's still level 2, though. So, it's a rough start for DSG.
He's going to be behind for a bit against XU. Luckily, it's still Vi. This Vi still comes online rather early. Get level 6. Got point and click CC. It's not going to be the biggest deal until we get deeper into this and see what else XU can really do in this matchup.
Yeah, and I do want to give props to XU for the path that he's going for. He skipped his Gromp so that he could do Wolves into his Raptors. You just want to get rid of that Raptors camp, which is an easy camp to snipe away for Yukino once the ward's Fear X Starforge place had expired. So now, he basically just eradicated any real option that Yukino has to do any counter jungling. He's just going to have to play for camp respawns.
Again, Yukino was one of those younger junglers that we were very excited about that was on that 100 Thieves roster before they decided to start their NACL program. There was a lot of promise on him, and the last time I talked with him, he said, like, I didn't feel like I got to really show what I can do with the 100 Thieves Challengers, so I want to display that now with DSG.
And I think to some degree, Yukino definitely improved a lot last spring when we had first seen him on 100 Thieves Challengers. So it is nice that he is still hungry, still motivated. I mean, talking to people at the time, previous coaches, say that he's a great player to work with, a really good attitude, and that's something you definitely love to see, especially in such young, promising talent.
Oh, yeah. I do remember on 100 Thieves, he was, like, kind of put on Wukong duty for the most part, but I hold that thought, if I breaking out in the bottom lane, Tong, it's pulled back in by the hook. Knight goes down, will not be enough to take down the support of DSG.
No, but the pressure, heal is out. You're forced to walk back under your turret because you're afraid of, well, exactly what XU is doing. You can see there's a potential dive being set up for it. Might be a little hard because both Tomo and Kitong have flash, but even then, they are paying their respects, waiting for their jungler to show up too.
I mean, that was the important thing about that trade. Kitong was able to get out without burning flash. That would have set up a very easy dive situation in the bot lane. XU still hanging around here. Yukino can't even get the golems. XU's going to be able to secure that. Now, Yukino, empty-handed, will just give a sad little thumbs up as he watches XU walk away.
Yeah, already down a level and not really much for Yukino to actually farm for here. And you could just see XU's just kind of running things ever since that level 1 went essentially successfully when he was able to steal some camps away from Yukino. And if he plays this one right, he's just going to be able to keep Yukino on the back foot. It's like we said earlier, FearX Starforge, they have laners that are very self-sufficient. I mean, we saw Blaze Olive on this Tristana. It's pretty hard for the LeBlanc to actually all-in him. Instinct and Winsome are just naturally hard winning their matchup because it's good for them as well. So the fact that XU is in this position where all he needs to do is free farm and counter jungle, this is exactly what Fear want to do.
I'm just going to say, this puts pressure on Disguised Toast as well. He's always had trouble getting the better of a lot of these other creator teams, and getting a dub right here against FearX Starforge, I think, would put a little bit of that to rest, man. But I start doing things quick.
If he wins, I want him to tweet at Asmongold and say, like, get owned, you know?
Ooh, Winsome with the hook onto Young, but it is a LeBlanc, not in the biggest of worries right now. XU does not have his ultimate, so can't use the Wilting Lullaby. Chasing away the rest of the members of FearX Starforge from the Void Grubs. DSG have arrived.
Yeah, so this is something that DSG will have a pretty easy time getting. I think FearX Starforge want to do something. Both Philip and Tenacity are level 6, so maybe there's an angle.
You can have the Dominus, you can get into that fight. We'll put that Rage Bar up, and it's a surprising amount of damage that Renekton can do when he does have the Fury.
Is it surprising?
Outside. Oh, to me it is, especially when you get that stun, man.
And you know, all your health bar is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think, like, after the 1000th time, you would just go to expected. I don't know. Me personally, I've been blown up by Renekton enough times. I just respect it now, you know?
I'm going to need 1,001 times beat.
Oh, you know, fair enough. You got to make extra sure that he can really just 100 to 0 you. Is that what it's about?
That's all what it's about. If
Sure,
I survive and don't get 100 to 0, I'm doing good.
Yeah, you know, fair. And again, we got to give that quick shout out. XU again, just doing more counter jungling.
He owns this jungle.
He does. He's farming his camps and then his camps part 2. And I love that Blaze Olive has moved with him as well. It's just more resources that he's denying from Yukino. It's leading XU to get that level 6 first. He has access to that Lilting Lullaby. And with how good bot lane is going, I could very well see a dragon in FearX Starforge's immediate future.
All these high-quality components of FearX Starforge put together, this is where things should start getting scary. XU and a Blaze Olive linking up. They will start to own the Rift if you don't stop them soon, but XU has been on a spree to just deny Yukino anything on this map.
Yeah, it's tough. At least Yukino, while delayed, has hit that level 6 mark. He has access to the ultimate, which should make team fighting against this Lilia a little bit easier. That ability to lock him down, blow him up, it's the one thing that XU is really afraid of this game. And pairing that up with the Renekton stun, with the tidal wave from Ketong, is basically how you're going to guarantee you take this spawn out of any team fight. But those team fights aren't what DSG are looking for right now. They have to respect that they're not in a great position to contest this Drake, and it's just going to be an easy pickup for Fear.
You're seeing most of the success of DSG coming, at least in the laning phase, is going to be on the top side with Tenacity.
That's all of it, really.
Yeah. I mean, Tenacity has always been a really phenomenal laner. If you watched his play in playoffs with DSG, in 10 games, 9 of them, he was ahead in CS at 15 minutes, significantly so. He is a great laner, and he knows how to translate that into power when it comes to a lot of these team fights and setting up for objectives. So it's always great to have him in that situation of having a lead in his lane, but you're definitely going to need a lot more for DSG if you want to take this series.
Yeah, I don't think the Croc is going to win this game all by himself. I mean, luckily, even though Young hasn't gotten any significant lane advantages thus far, he's pretty much even, if not close to even, with a Blaze Olive. He's still going to have that option to play fights a little bit differently. LeBlanc doesn't really play the front to back. You're looking for angles. You're looking to just hop over terrain and blow up people like a Blaze Olive and Instinct before they even realize what happened.
Surprise, LeBlanc comes out of the fog of war. Suddenly your carry's dead.
Yeah.
Unlucky. And, you know, for the most part, Young does have some pretty good targets he can go after. You got 280 carries that you can chase down.
Yeah, it'll be nice and easy for him to get that value off as long as he lands his spells. It's kind of what I'm expecting him to be doing. And at the moment, though, things have really quieted down a lot. My eyes are on the Grub respawn to see whether or not DSG are going to be able to secure that Grub again. And Tenacity, right now, might be looking for a recall in hopes that he can spend his gold and get enough power to perform adequately in that fight. And with the rotation of Tomo Kitong, you got to imagine that is what they've set their sights on.
Yeah, you can see the priority coming out of Fear X Starforge. ABO gets a play, instantly translate that to control over the ramps in the jungle. So we'll give XU at least a window of opportunity to start setting up because we don't want DSG to get this grub again.
No, it's going to be a little tough for them to get full value, but their soul laners can definitely get in these positions where they're pretty good duelists in side lane. They're going to be able to hit structures. So there is that value that you want to deny. And remember, guys, it only takes 4 grubs at this point. So DSG just needs to secure one of them. They're going to get access to the little voidlings. Did we agree on a name for those? I don't quite remember. I just know I don't like Kevin's. In fact, I hate it. I just want to make that clear.
I think we need like some kind of Twitch poll if we're going to start naming those as well, because that's what we did for
that's a
Grub-A-Geddon.
great idea.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we got to think of some names and then we'll do that. You're right.
Here we go. The calling comes out as the bubble's going to land on Winsome. Winsome looking to bail. Can't get close enough. Yukino instead caught out by the dredge line. Will be able to use the cease and assist, and it's first blood going the way of DSG. But on the back line, you got Philip walking up with the explosive cask. Will pull in Tomo to his demise as Instinct will take the kill.
And it's a big fight win there for Fear X Starforge. Not only do they get that first grub, they get 2 kills, and they're going to get the remaining 2 grubs as well. So no void grubs are going to be, no void mites are going to be spawning there for DSG. And we finally broken the ice on this early game where that was 0 kills until this very moment.
Yeah, first blood at 11 minutes now going to be secured. Let's take another look at how this started off. It was really that deep flank that was coming out. It was a timer for DSG.
Yeah, and this kind of gives you an idea on how difficult some of these fights can be if you don't get instant kills for the side of DSG. It is about a lot of burst damage. It is about using this full combo that you have in hopes that it gets you an overwhelming advantage to win a fight. You know, when I first started watching League, when Froskurin was still a caster, she said something, Eric, that I really loved, and that has stuck with me to this day. She called it hit and run League of Legends, and that's kind of what I feel like this comp is all about.
Yeah, fair enough. Burst out your damage, get out of there.
Yep,
Stay too long, we end up with what just happened this last team fight, which is 1.1k in the lead for Fear X Starforge.
Yeah, it's a pretty good advantage they've gotten for themselves. 30 seconds till this next Drake. You got to imagine it will be an easy pickup for them just because of, again, the lead that they have. You're seeing some of these item breakpoints come through, particularly XU and Instinct reaching that first power spike, which is already significant enough for them.
Taking stock as we hit the 13-minute mark before Fear X Starforge able to take a lead. Take a look at the lanes in the CS. See that most of the laners are doing well. Mostly Tenacity for DSG, who is keeping his laning lead. But for Fear X Starforge, it's exactly where you want to be. You want these carries getting fed.
That's right. Now it's DSG who have the first look on this Drake. That doesn't necessarily mean they will secure it. Philip is walking. You see it on the minimap. There is an angle for Fear X Starforge to take this fight.
All right, Hook's going to land. It's going to be onto Tenacity, so you got some time, but it's not enough. The Croc does not get out of trade. 1-for-1 in kills. Yukino looking to bail explosive cask, pulls him right back in, and there's nothing you can do but get fed to Instinct as a Blaze Olive chases down Young. One more cannonball to the back. Philip will get a kill on the opposite side. Tomo running for his life, but it is forfeit. Fear X Starforge take the ace.
DSG tried to play the hit and run, but instead they get run right over. Fear X Starforge, the ones who start off the fight, and they recognize the angle. Tenacity, he's a little disconnected from the rest of the team, and they take this opportunity to render him completely useless, and then they end up killing him in the back half anyway. And a great cask from Philip also just guarantees that, one, health bars are going to stay light, nice and low, and that DSG just never get the fight that they want.
Great positioning out of ABO on top of that. He was able to still get that kill on Tenacity and then doesn't get juked out by the distortion from Young. We'll just chase him down. Now we got a 201 Tristana that you got to deal with.
Yeah, don't forget the 203 Varus in the bottom lane there for Instinct, who's also been having a pretty good game alongside Winsome. I mean, Instinct, I mentioned it a little bit, Eric, in the pregame. Just the idea that FlyFam, it was a tough break, let's be honest. And it was not the it doesn't fully represent what Instinct was capable of. After having a decent time in the OQs earlier on, and Now, joining over here on Fearx Starforge, we're actually seeing what a player like him is capable of. Kind of what we expected when we first saw him jump into the Tier 2 scene last year.
It felt like he was a sin. It was a sin that he was on Tier 3. Like, the dude is a high-caliber player, and we're definitely seeing that right now. DSG are still fighting for their angle back into this, and it's going to come from the side laning. You have Tenacity, who's currently attacking this bottom lane, trying to get that objective bounty to get the gold back for DSG.
Oh my god. Yeah, Winsome, at this point, with a lead like this, Fearx Starforge, they're ready to fight at pretty much any given opportunity. Anytime they're together, Winsome lands something, they're just going to pull the trigger. You can see it. Again, XU, and he's just been doing a pretty solid job trying to deny anything he can from Yukino, who's basically just looking for whatever plays he can find. But even then, not a lot of them have worked.
Yeah, that was a hard one to go for. Philip has finished his Rod of Ages, so you get a little bit more HP out of that. That's going to make it harder to take down this big, bulky guy. So far, Philip, I mean, no deaths on him. Doing all right over in that top lane, despite Tenacity getting the better of that lane. So far, this is pretty much all the boxes checked for Fearx Starforge.
Yep. DSG, I mean, we talked about how they spiked pretty hard early and needed to get some kind of advantage. They're in a position now where just none of that happened. So being able to come back into this game is going to be very difficult. It is going to require an overcommitment to one side of the map. That's why you're seeing a play like this onto ABO, who, unfortunately for DSG, looking like he's just going to walk out of this one.
You know, it's okay, but don't overstay, and that's the problem right there for Yukino. Young over the wall, wants to get one back, but XU will tank it right in the face. Tenacity gets the stun onto ABO, but it's a hop, skip, jump escape for him.
And it's Fear winning on both sides of the map, Eric. You can see on the top side as well, Winsome and Philip got another structure down, more gold into the pockets of Fearx Starforge and DSG. That one's a tilter. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Going for an all-in play like that, it doesn't really work. You get punished on the exit because you overstay.
And B, like, it was enough to get ABO away from the tower, because what's the goal of that? You want the objective bounty from the tower itself.
True.
You want that bump of gold, but the overstay from Yukino is what's going to cost them.
Yukino, and I mean the rest of DSG too. And then ABO is going to immediately teleport towards that bottom side of the map. We have a dragon in a minute 30, so that's going to be a lot of him, his focus alongside the rest of Fear. Yeah, and nothing was ever going to happen there. That's not what we're talking about.
Philip going towards the top side to defend the tower, but DSG with two members there will claim this objective bounty. That's two back-to-back. It is shrinking the gold lead. Still pretty big in favor of Fearx Starforge at 4K.
Yeah, but of course, we have the Tristana on the bottom side of the map. It's going to have an easy time knocking down structures, so it's still a net positive for the side of Fear. And you can just see the vision they have on this bottom side of the map, too. The fact that it's so difficult for DSG to actually walk into them. You're worried about Instinct's ultimate. You're worried about a Nautilus hook. You're worried about just walking into a place with no information and exploding instantly.
I will say a lot of this started with XU, man.
Yeah.
XU, he's a good jungler. Who would have thought? Kind of sad that he didn't get another try on Dignitas. Didn't really get the best look there. So now he's out here showing just how good he is. Philip caught out, and DSG able to collapse on the top laner, Fearx Starforge.
Yeah, and that's the kind of play I'm talking about, Eric. You send 4 people to one side of the map and just try and pick up either a shutdown or just some kind of goal to get yourself breathing room. And now that it's 4... yeah, you don't want to overstay here. You just want to ensure that you get this next top wave in. And now you have to just back and see if you can rush towards this Drake. But I think DSG already know this Drake's not really an option for them. Bright side, it's not Soul yet. So it just means that this next Drake is super extra important.
It's going to get harder with these neutral objectives. 2 marksmen, that means a lot of auto attack damage. So as we get deeper into this and DSG don't have proper setup, if you're not around Dragon, it's gone. If you're not around Elder, it's gone. If you're not around Baron, it's gone. That's something DSG are going to have to constantly think about as they rotate around the map.
Oh, Young, this is one of those plays. Nope. Owned by Blue Trinket. Sorry, man. Happens to the best of us.
Trying the side lane plays. That's Pretty much the best angle you can really take right now for DSG. Just go for these picks in the side lane. Try and catch someone out in the jungle. Especially if you can lead it with Yukino. The cease and desist is a great tool to lock someone down, and you have the damage to back it up. Small picks like that can get you back in this game.
And speaking of jungle too, XU, we talk about the counter jungling he has done this game, and it's really started to pay off. He's 2 levels up, 50 CS ahead. Very strong at this point as well. And yeah, you're just looking for an angle now.
Oh, Yukino. Be careful.
Okay.
Philip opting to not go for that one. Yukino still had his flash. Pressure applied into the mid lane as Fear X Starforge, they just gained control of the entire map. Wherever they walk, they can start. Looking down on as Philip goes in with the explosive cast. Doesn't get it onto Tomo. XD wilting Lullaby, able to grab 2 as ABO has arrived. Teleport comes in from TSG, but they're on the back foot as Fear X Starforge continue to thrive.
And it's an easy Baron. You're running his double marksman comp, so Fear recognized that they have this opportunity, and now they're just going to go ahead and grab the big purple worm for themselves. And we're getting really close to calling an end to game 1, Eric. It has just been domination non-stop from this roster.
All right, here we go. Young jumping in. Tenacity's going to lead the charge to try and tank this up. Tomo's getting a lot of damage onto Philip. Look at Young go. Low health bars coming in for Fear X Starforge, and DSG are still fighting. They'll bring enough of a fight to get FXS right off the Baron.
That definitely feels good. You had to really throw yourselves at them, but not only do they get them off the Baron, they do have an opportunity to get some damage on this mid-tier 1. You can see it right now. Between the two of them, they force the teleport out of a Blaze Olive just to make sure another objective bounty doesn't go the way of DSG. So that is something they're able to get for their troubles.
See, there's still some fight in DSG. Again, their comp, it comes online rather early, so they don't need that much of economy to be good right now. And for the most part, their carries aren't super behind. They're still trying to keep up. It's just been a rough game for DSG as a whole as they still try and maneuver around this map, but you can see right now, Fear X Starforge will not let go of vision control.
No, it's going to be really tough. DSG, they have to fight for every inch of vision that they get for, and that just kind of shows how much control Fear had across the map so far and how much they're exerting right now. What little bit DSG are able to earn, it's gone. Just like that. And you look on the bottom side too, a very small amount of vision. I think 1 ward really in favor of DSG. The only bright side is there's no dragon to fight for just yet, and Fear aren't looking to start off the Baron. They'd rather just keep this side of the map dark and try and make a play.
There's an angle on Instinct. He does not have flash.
Wow.
He will get taken down. 2 down. DSG fight their way back in.
It couldn't have been better target selection. It's a great setup there. A nice flank from Tenacity. And yeah, you said it. Instinct didn't have flash. He had no way to dodge out on the culling and that last hit from Young. That is a big amount of gold coming through for the side of DSG. It doesn't erase the entire deficit that they're in, but it is something, especially this close to the dragons spawning. It could give them that bit of breathing room to finally set up a foothold of vision.
Take another look at this as Tenacity leads the charge to a flashless Instinct.
Yeah, I mean, look at it too. He's just trying to run as fast as he can, but the entirety of DSG are on him, and he really had no way to escape. Again, that was a really nice setup there from the skies.
And it's something they can repeat whenever flashes are burnt. Instinct, it's half the timer up right now, so he's still in a vulnerable state.
Definitely, and especially as we're getting close to this next strike coming through here, there's an opportunity for Yukino, once his ult comes back up, to be able to try and focus him down. Ooh.
This is not the worst situation for DSG right now. Focusing down Instinct, you got the point and click CC. Again, you're just waiting for that cooldown. Dragon's going to be spawning soon. This is pretty much the best chance to deny Dragon Soul that you got.
Yeah, but that's the problem. You have a very small margin for error. If DSG let this dragon go, that's just going to be about the nail in the coffin here. This buff is too powerful, so they have to go.
Oh, Yukino gets caught by the hook! And a Blaze Olive just obliterates him! Fear still stepping forward. They will not be dissuaded by DSG. Young is going on the backline, will not be able to find the steal. And DSG coming up empty-handed as their jungler gets demolished by a Blazed Olive.
They got the soul, a lot of ults. In fact, all of them except Yukino's expended by DSG means that there's an angle.
Another hook comes in from Winsome, able to lock down Tenacity. Tenacity, look at all
gone.
these carries. They will burn you down, baby. Another kill coming out for FearX Starforge. And right now, it's looking like sweet, sweet victory, baby.
And it's a Baron in their immediate sights. It has just been relentless here from the side of FearX Starforge. Feels like DSG, they haven't really had an angle since those couple of early fights in and around the Grubs went bad for them. And at this point, Fear, this comp has been online for these last 5 minutes now where they are in a stronger position than DSG. You combine the fact that they've had a lead that entire time. This Baron buff is going to be pretty much everything they need to close the book on game 1.
Baron buff, it's Dragon Soul, it's everything you could ask for FearX Starforge. As they currently go for the reset, get some final purchases in, and get ready to lay siege into the base of DSG.
Pretty much any moment now. Now they have to spend a little time pushing through mid and bot lane, so it won't happen instantly. But that is the exact setup that they're looking for. Again, I mean, Winsome has been that primary engage. He just throws out the dredge lines, and if he hits somebody, Fear tries to blow them up. So if they get that angle here, you blow up someone like Tomo, Kitong, that gets you the angle on the tier 2 turret that you want mid lane.
Right there, Tomo smelled out his old teammate. UXU was waiting in that brush, and that will not be enough to stop Fear from continuing their march forward. Another tower goes down, and now inhibitor towers are under threat.
Yeah, I mean, the waves are synced nicely. There is an angle here with Tenacity on the flank. They shouldn't know that he's there. Instinct. Oh, no, he's just cutting the wave in the mid lane. So he's just limiting the damage that Fear are going to be able to do. It's going to be limited to one tier 3 turret on the bot side. And now DSG can put all of their focus to try and clear this wave as best they can. But really, they're just delaying the inevitable here.
Philip's got no problem eating that damage. He's got a passive. He can heal himself up. Look at that. Got a chunk of health right on back, and the damage at DSG means nothing. Inhibitor forfeit in the bottom lane. Now FearX Starforge looking for another reset.
That's one Swirl Seed. And here's the angle. XU, he does have a spell shield. Oh, they got him.
Oh, knockup is found. XU goes golden, though. It's going to buy time for the teleport of ABO. XU able to flash, still on the chase is Tenacity! And XU will not fall. DSG throw the kitchen sink at him, and he catches it and walks on out.
I really thought XU wasted the Zhonya's there. I didn't think he was going to be able to get out of there, but really nicely done between him and a Blaze Olive. Again, that's the mid-jungle duo that we're so excited to see here in Challengers League, and one we expect to really make some waves.
DSG, that felt like their last chance right there. It felt like their last attempt. Deal now getting sealed as FearX Starforge march in the top lane. ABO pushing in the mid lane. Already has some good shots onto that tower. We'll take it down with a couple more autos. DSG on defense.
Honestly, there's not much defense left to be had. They're about to lose all 3 of their inhibitors at this point. And with ults coming back online, Eric, it's just not a matter of if, but when.
All right, final defense out of DSG. Philip right in the face of Yukino. Yukino looking for an angle to get onto one of these carries, but Philip says no, not allowed. Knockup found onto Tomo. Gets caught by the piercing arrow, does not fall. Yukino still looking for his way in, but his teammates, they're heading for the respawn one way or another as another kill is picked up. FearX Starforge, the debut of this roster in game number 1. They look phenomenal, and a Blaze Olive will even hop on the respawn. Game number 1 to FearX Starforge.
We have a little fun to close out our games here in the NACL, Eric, and a lot of fun it looked like to be FearX Starforge in that game. Again, the clear win con for DSG was being able to get the ball rolling early, especially when you hit that one item point. You have a lot of team fighting power, but none of the fights went their way, and once Fear got a lead, there was no coming back.
And so much of it was taken over in the early game.
Say it.
What he was able to do.
Good answer.
He was able to do, man, to stop Yukino and just make his life hell. Yukino couldn't have that impact, couldn't be that big point-and-click CC to set up DSG. FearX Starforge run away with game number 1. We're going to throw it over a short break. When we return, we'll get ready for game number 2 and more at Full Fearless Draft. Welcome back, everyone, to the NACL game number 1 between Fear X Starforge and Disguised. It's now in the books, and man, what a dominating display for Fear X Starforge. In the early game, you had XU. I always want to say Lawrence XU Shu because of Rafa. It's the way he would always like exclaim his name on big plays. But we had XU just taking control of the jungle and not allowing Yukino the time to breathe. In the mid to late game, we just had ABO dominance. It felt great for Fear X Starforge.
Yeah, and I mean, the draft kind of enabled XU to play the game the way he wanted to on the Lilia as well. Like I talked about it as we got into that game. You have a neutral lane in the top side because Gragas, is Gragas. He can neutralize pretty much every lane. You have winning mid and bot, and you're a farming jungler. You are laughing because not only do you get to farm your camps, you get to farm your other camps, aka your opponent's jungle camps, and XU took advantage of that really well.
And of course, Ablaze Olive, he's had a long journey when it comes to pretty much the entirety of the competitive scene. A lot of his early grinding in tier 2, it got him an academy title back in spring 2019. He was part of that 2021 Golden Guardian squad that had a big struggle. So for a lot of people, they don't see ABO in the highest light that a lot of us who have been watching him very closely have. That same year, he was runner-up or rookie of the split, only second to Danny. He's a very, very capable player, and you're seeing why we get so excited every time we get a chance to see this guy play, especially here in the tier 2 space.
Yeah, 100%. And that, among other things, is a big reason why we are giving this mid-jungle duo a lot of praise. And Eric, we're all pretty unanimously agreed on the broadcast team that this is a very strong roster, very much going to finish on the higher end of A, the regular split, and B, possibly playoffs, depending on how some of the rest of the teams catch up. I mean, we saw Dragonsteel yesterday surpassing our expectations, so maybe other teams will do the same.
So now, as we start getting ready for this game number 2, what do we want to see out of Disguised? Obviously, the early game jungle can't go that way again. How do we stop XU from taking our entire paycheck?
Taking our pay? What does that even mean? Is he in my jungle camps? Like, what's going on?
No, he's coming for us next, man.
What?
He's going to take our lunch money. He did that to Yukino? That right there, that's a warning to the broadcasters.
Okay, I don't even know how that could possibly happen, so I'm just gonna hope that I can do something about it. I don't know, man. But I think what I really want to bring us back to, Eric, is you talked about what we can see in the next game. And my mind immediately goes to draft. And that's some amazing timing because I wanted to talk about what's no longer available. Because remember, guys, full fearless, which means whatever is clicked in the pick side of that draft in game 1 is no longer available. No one can use it. Are you a fan of Lilia being played by Yukino from DSG? Too bad. It's going to have to be another series.
I definitely enjoy this a lot more because there was something we saw in the last split, which is you can just forfeit a super powerful draft knowing the team can't play it for game 2 and game 3. This is not the case in full fearless. If you do that, well, you're not going to be able to play those champions as well. So what do we really got left on the table that we're going to see start to see come through B-Down?
I mean, Corky's still up and available. If something like Skarner, for whatever reason, slips through. Oh, there's definitely a lot of champions. Talia is good. Hui is actually a mid laner that I am super high on at the moment here. Even though Varus is no longer available, it's a nice pairing if you run Ezreal in the bot lane. Recently buffed on this 14-12 patch that we're playing on. Remember, guys, live patch, we're cool just like LCS.
Yeah, we're cool. We're cool, man.
Yeah, but what do you want to see, Eric? The color casters are always yapping. What champion do you want to know? Come on.
I'm not sure. I'm looking at the mid-jungle duo. Yukino historically has gone for more of these fighter champions. So Vi was already one that's taken off the table, but Wukong is another one. Xin Zhao is another one. If he's going to continue playing these champions, I would want to see something at least in the mid lane that synergizes with that. I do think LeBlanc was a good pick for that, but got to see a little bit more.
Shout. Yeah, it's tough. There was definitely a lot on his shoulders that game, especially past the 15-minute mark. So we'll have to see what else he's going to have to pull out in his wheelhouse. At this point, I can't imagine we're going to see very much change in terms of those first rotation bans. But maybe something like the Corky that was banned in game 1 will get through this time around. But there's still plenty of options for our teams to go for.
It was interesting seeing how the draft can shape up. There's always that chance of letting a champion through The moment you take it for the next game, that means you don't even have to worry about that as a draft pick. You don't have to. So it does put in some interesting strategies that can come through for full Fearless, as right now it's mostly going to be bot lane focus, as well as the Yone taken away by DSG.
Wow, early Yone ban too. I find that one really interesting. It makes me wonder if we're going to see like an Azir come through for Young, is something he was definitely comfortable playing on in spring last year, and Yone is known as a really good counter matchup. So that's something we could see from him. I'm trying to think. Senna was banned second rotation in game 1, but also if we're looking at what's available, especially in the bot lane, that's a really strong pick. Even without Nautilus, there are other champions. I mean, Tom Kench is still there. Ornn, we've been seeing a lot in the bot lane, is still there. So I think that's something we could see come out too.
Next man comes in, it's going to be Jace. So we're going to have some interesting picks available next next pick that we go through. You were mentioning Corki. Talia is another one. I always got to double check what the Fearless bans are to make sure I'm not putting my foot in my mouth.
Yeah. I feel you. I guess it just depends on what this last ban is going to be. A lot of AD bans, particularly mid bans to remove some things from ABO's pool. I'm wondering if it's because they want to make it a little harder for Fearx Starforge to go for an AP jungle pick. With that first pick, Corki as well. As far as like S tier AD mids go, I think they're pretty much exhausted between Fearless and these bans.
The Talia will be the response out of Fearx Starforge. I'd be really surprised if they actually pivoted away from this one. Mid pull did get pinched quite a bit there, so leaving that open and available, be happy to take that. And for Fearx Starforge, wow, okay, so they pivoted.
Dude, you got dogged on, bro. Sorry, man.
They dunked me, dude. They dunked me.
They dunked you, but they didn't dunk me because I blocked it for you because I was right. The early Senna pick is what we're gonna end up seeing, and it makes a lot of sense. You still have plenty of options too. You don't necessarily have to go for your bot lane pairing right away. You can just secure yourself a strong top laner in a Rumble. Pretty sure Senna Rumble also exists, so just keep that in the back of your minds, Chad, because it's Senna. Anything could go down there with her.
Something they could definitely go for, but I still imagine it being towards the top. Get the AP top over there,
probably,
and use the bot lane to try and get a tank alongside with Senna. We've seen pairings both be the Nautilus as well as the Ornn for Senna to get you that tank. ESG on the other side of the rift, Sejuani and Aatrox will be.
Yeah, Aatrox, newly adjusted. That was, I believe, the wording that they used on 14.12 when I was reading the patch notes, but actually in a pretty solid position, something we saw Tenacity play a lot last split. And I think the big takeaways is the healing on his E passive was reduced, and they added a lot of E healing to the passive on the World Ender. So the big takeaway is, especially once he hits level 11, when he's ulting, he is a World Ender. Stay away from him.
So as we head into phase 2 of the draft, what are you expecting the mid lane for Blaze Olive here? Because we have AP in the top side, which means we got to get something AD in the mid, right?
Not necessarily. It depends on what jungle they want to go for here. I think a lot of AD junglers are fine with what they are thinking about here. What immediately comes to mind is like Xin Zhao. If XU wants to play Lee Sin, I could see that working for them with what's showing so far for Fearx Starforge. And it could be where they go for an AP solo lane angle, and they pick the Hui for themselves. Again, great champion. You already have a good amount of range that you're playing with what Fearx Starforge have, and I think that would synergize really nicely with what they got.
Angle to go for as the next bans come in. Talia going to be removed off the map. That's like I was expecting to see a little bit earlier, but hey, no, it is what it is. Juke me out, break my ankles.
Hey, we can't all be right, Eric. It's all right, man.
Hey, man, you're the one in Canada with the healthcare. I'm just going to have to live with this now.
I'm going to be
next
real.
man comes in.
Oh, wait, I don't even... What does that even mean? All right,
I have nothing for my ankles beat. That's what it means.
Oh, I understand. Your ankles were quite literally broken. That's impressive. You were sitting in a chair, too. They're good.
That's
These
how,
guys are good.
A Fearx Starforge do you. Next man coming in, Ezreal, taking off the rift. Ezreal's one I'm very, very curious to see actually go through.
One day.
Yeah, one day. We've seen it more banned away in the phase 2, but as we get deeper into Fearless, if we actually do get a game 3, that's when I expect to see it more than locked in. But Hui, you were mentioning that beatdown. Fearx Starforge, they lock it in.
Yeah, I am a big fan of this champion. You actually do quite a bit of damage. You have great utility. You have great range. And when you're thinking about the engage range from the ultimates of Rumble and Ornn and how Senna's range increases as the game goes on, I just think it synergizes really nicely.
You got a little bit of everything when you're away. I mean, it's like 10 abilities that you really get with that champion, which is kind of
yeah.
So DSG
it's pretty good. Ooh.
Be a little bit of tower taken right here. Ziggs, it's locked in. This will look to push the bottom lane. What are we going to pair with it, however? We hover towards Leona and Bard.
Oh, like Bard would be fun. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. But
Bard would be a good way to deny the Call of the Forge God if you just want to Tempered Fate that every time. But you can also still do that with the Solar Flare.
In a way, yeah. So you do have that long-range engage, as you mentioned, Eric, and it ends up being another one of the premier engage supports coming through. So far with what we're seeing here, DSG's comp, they've just kind of rounded this out with some magic damage on the bot side with the Ziggs. So you do have range, you do have poke that you can kind of match Fear X Starforge's comp with, but the rest of the comp is trying to move forward. So there is this potential for Tomo to be in a little bit of danger if somebody like a Blaze Olive's able to get nearer to him, XU able to do the same thing. And now with that Kindred that was kind of teased in that last game coming in too, I mean, you have another farming jungler for XU, considering what we saw him do in that last game and how ahead he got, and a way to really deal with a lot of the burst damage DSG are trying to go through.
And as you had mentioned, Beatdown, they find their source of AD through the jungle by locking these Kindred. So now you have a more cohesive damage profile, as well as a strong tank in the bottom lane for these engages with the Ornn. Now that's going to be paired along with that Senna. But I'm still looking at some of the engage and skirmish that we have on DSG's side, right? Because both Sejuani and Leona can start a fight on a hair.
Yeah, and when I'm thinking about long-range engage, that's what I'm looking at for DSG. That's really their way to play, but it's tough because when we're talking effective range, the rest of DSG may have a little bit of struggle. Yes, of course, Corki has good range with the rockets and is able to do a little bit of peppering in his own right, but when you think about the effective range of an Ornn ulti, the effective range of that Rumble ult, the equalizer, it is actually a fine line that DSG are going to be playing in some of these later team fights.
Hit the riff right now. Go ahead and vote in Twitch chat who you think will take this dub in our two creator teams. I don't know, man. I've been slipping on a lot of my words today. I'm getting back into the things, man. We're de-rusting here, Beatdown.
You're good. I'm just busting your balls a little bit, you know? That's how you know I like you. I give you a hard time.
It's the way the Twix Bros roll.
You get it, man. No. You got me. Anyways, type in chat, who's got this one?
Say it with more gusto. I mean, give me a chest.
Who's got this one, guys? Type DSG for disguise, FXS for Fear X Starforge. I don't have the gravitas that you or Mazel have, Eric, but you know, that's kind of the best I got.
What's funny is saying Fear X Starforge is easier for me than saying FXS. I have to like slow down to be able to say it.
Me too.
A little bit of a tongue twister.
A little bit. Also, low, Ketong is topside, which is interesting. Maybe they were expecting the invade, a little bit of trauma from what happened in game one. So you get Ketong, good guy support, just ensuring Yukino gets his first can, just like as if he's listening, gives us the thumbs up, man. Respect.
By the way, Maddie from Fear just messaged me, and he said you can say Fear Starforge. That's fine.
Oh, thank God.
So we got Insider.
Maddie might goat as usual, man.
All right, Ketong's going to be able to rejoin in the bottom lane. He did his job. He's made sure that Yukino will not suffer and actually get his buffs this time.
Yeah, and of course, Ketong, if you guys are wondering from last split what happened to Poom, oh, hold on.
Oh, lockdown on Instinct. Instinct's in a bad way. The bomb goes through. Heal gonna be procced. It's actually the cleanse from Instinct to get away from the crowd control. Burns his flash in the process, but same can be said for both Tomo and Ketong in that we got a deadly bottom lane here, Beat.
Oh, we do, but Instinct, really low health, no summoners to speak of. It's looking like he's just gonna have to go for the back here. Will be able to get back in time to get some of this, but that is a really nice angle coming through there from Tomo and Ketong. It's a really nice find.
Yeah,
wait a minute, that wave is actually, hold on, that wave is actually going back, it looks like. Oh, never mind, Cannon stayed alive longer, as you were, Eric.
It actually surprises you pretty often how much damage anyone paired with Leona does, because that Leona passive, man, it really does stack up.
It
You can
does.
see Instinct right there suffering from that as he's finally going to be able to get back to lane. Lost a lot of CS in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. You go throughout taking a look at what else is going on the rest of the map. We saw an early back come through from XU. It looks like wanted to get the longsword right away and ends up being a little behind of Yukino in terms of clear, but he does have the combat stats and he's looking to take advantage.
Oh, here we go. They're collapsing right onto Ketong. Again, Ketong doesn't have flash, so he has to stay in this fight, find the lockdown, try and get the kill on XU. It's a trade. Ketong for XU. Flash coming out from Winsome as DSG find the counteroffensive in the bot lane.
And it's really nice for Yukino to make that immediate move. I like the setup there from XU to try and get down to this bottom lane as soon as possible with some combat stats. And you could see it. The angle was there. You know summoners are down, so you try to make the play go through. But Yukino is here. He's a level up, which I think at this state of the game matters just as much as an early longsword. So he's able to have the impact.
That was all off of the play that happened earlier. Those flashes getting burnt meant that this was going to be a very caustic lane early on into this matchup, and that's exactly what we saw right there. Taking a look at where the kills went to, though, XU was able to grab one, Tomo was able to grab another. Not too bad in terms of allocation now. XU, a little bit of a menace, might get caught out.
Hello.
What?
Oh, no, he just hex flashed the other way. You know, just in case. He's making sure XU isn't up to no good. And that's what it's really about there. I like that awareness and that adaptation from what we saw in that first game where XU was running roughshod all over Yukino's side of the map. And that's the nice thing, too, about the Zigspec. Pretty good at 1v2ing in lane for the most part, farming under turrets. So there's that opportunity for Ketong to get around the map, sync up with Yukino to ensure that he stays even, and of course, as a Sejuani Leona, make all sorts of plays.
I love how DSG just came into this game, looked at Ketong and said, hey, you're on XU duty. Always know where that man is.
Literally, and look at, he's doing it again.
Again, he's just following him around. I'm gonna always have eyes on this man. He's not gonna traumatize Yukino again.
Never again. Like, you would just learn from an experience like what we saw in game one, right? So DSG are doing the same, and it's gonna allow them to pretty easily get the first streak of the game. It's actually allowed Yukino to get a bit of an experience lead over XU, who kind of had an awkward clear early on. Oh, hold on.
Ooh, a trade coming out here in the top lane. Flash is getting burnt both ways as Philip attempts to dive. All the meanwhile, DSG will secure themselves a Hex Drake over on the bottom side of the map.
And Ketong, who's spent an absurd amount of time outside of lane, is still level 3, and now he's ensuring... He's been
Where is he?
Oh, he's looking
He's
looking for XU. Yeah, he is frothing at the mouth looking for this Kindred. And that roam coming through here does mean they could have the impact in and around that Grubs. It's tough because you're waiting for Tenacity to show up. He just TP'd, but about now is the time to look.
Comes Yukino. XU should be able to hop over the wall. No problem unless
Hey,
he gets
XU.
locked down outright. XU, that's a slip up right there, and DSG will take full advantage.
I might have missed it. He could have used the Q.
That's what I was expecting.
Right away,
Yeah.
and we just missed it. But there's also the chance that he tried to get the second grub and then Q over the wall, in which case I'd be a little greedy, and it could cost his top laner quite a bit.
It allows an easy setup for this dive for DSG, and Tenacity will take down Philip.
And look at Ketong. He is Mr. Worldwide this game. He's affecting every part of the map, and it's led to a 1,000 gold lead early on, which is really nice for DSG considering it's kind of the opposite of how things went early on, so rather earlier in the series. Tenacity gets, what, part of one plate. He's going to get a solo plate on top of it all, and we're going to see how this play shook out again.
I don't think he was expecting the Zenith blade to hit, because that was the thing that rooted him to start this all off.
Maybe. I'm just going to go ahead and say inconclusive. You know, if you did it, you know what? We're going to take the positive note.
We'll
good
just
job,
shrug and say,
Ketong.
it happens.
No, good job, Ketong. I'm going to give it to him. He lands the Zenith Blade. They CC chain XU to death. It's exactly what you love to see.
Mr. Worldwide, doing his job.
Worldwide. He
Chase
does it
down
again.
XU, find out where he is, take his lunch money.
Literally. Dude, you know what? My headcanon now is that Ketong heard that XU is coming for our lunch money, and you know, as a passionate fan of the broadcast, was like, nah, not on my watch.
My hero, Ketong, thank you very
Real.
much. Now look at this. Yukino headed over towards the top side. Gonna have a meeting as more members of Fear X Starforge go up here as well. They're gonna catch the gank coming out onto Philip. Tenacity can't get any more damage onto Philip. Philip kind of playing around with his overheat. Tenacity looking to back out. There comes down the equalizer. It's burning Tenacity. They're burning Yukino, but they're not eating board tonight. FXS will be able to get the recalls out of DSG. Spend a little more time with priority in the top side.
Yeah, I like that attention towards this top side. One, because Tenacity did end up getting that early kill and got a lot of gold into his pocket, but also because Philip's running the Ignite. He has no TP. He needs a little help to get the wave in at times, so recognizing that and making sure he gets good recalls in is really nice to see from Fierce Starforge.
Instinct out of lane. There's a lot of time for Tomo and Kitong to a little personal with his tower over here. The longer that goes, the more you get closer to that threshold, and
that's right.
Diggs, you know, you can take towers in a heartbeat.
He can, and it feels good too that DSG were able to get the 2 grubs in that back half. It's going to make hitting those structures that much easier, getting to that threshold you mentioned. And of course, if you get to that 4 grub points, or even 5, you get those Void Mites. You're going to be able to do so much damage to structures, and that's another way for DSG to continue snowballing this early lead they've gotten for themselves. They got a Drake, most of the first spawn of grubs, and 1,500 gold to their name. Not bad.
Not bad at all for DSG, especially considering what that first game had for us. Kitong setting up in the mid lane, sees the Blaze Olive. Blaze Olive has the loving arms of Instinct waiting on the opposite side. Walk over into that direction. So for DSG, as you said, I think I can't iterate it any better. It's not bad.
No, not at all. And you can see this angle too. With that lane swap coming through, Instinct's actually going to stick around. Ooh, there could be the potential for that dive. Tenacity still doesn't have flash. Winsome now has that call of the Forge God. So there's a play for sure.
Stop the recall, but this is pretty hard to dive if you don't have Winsome there right from the get-go. So
yeah,
Tenacity has a window out.
That's fine. At this point, you're still denying the wave. You're taking away some jungle camps from Yukino, and you're getting some turret plates onto your bottom lane. And it continues to... It's going to allow you to keep priority for this Drake, so you can deny the Drake stacking from DSG. The only downside is Tomo got the execute. So he's got a nice chunk of gold into his back pocket and has basically added about 1k to DSG's lead.
Yep. Able to finish his first item. All the meanwhile, here Starforge can't even finish off this tower over here, so they're not going to see as above, so below. They're just grabbing a few plates in response to the tower-taking power of Tomo.
That's right, and because of that commitment topside, XU is a little late to the second grub spawns, and Yukino is already going to get it going. The fact that most of DSG are here means that we are going to see that threshold hit with regards to the Void Mites and them spawning. Philip's here, but Philip, bro, you can't actually be here. You should walk away.
Leave the premises. XU comes over the wall, tries to steal away one of the grubs. Will secure it. Yitong trying to fight the urge to jump on to XU right there. We'll just take the retreat.
Yeah, absolutely was not an angle, so props to him for not sending it, because now you have that opportunity, because Fear Starforge tried to contest you on the top, to just shift bottom side and set to focus on clearing out the vision around this Drake. It's great too, because you see Tenacity is hitting this bottom turret, and DSG, they get to continue the Drake stack. Feels good.
A lot of plates collected so far by DSG. Tomo already grabbed a full tower on the top side, but Tenacity, left alone with his tower, is going to set up Tomo for another one.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to move. He's going to get his turn with each and every turret, as Ziggs does. But I think it's just going to be maybe on the next wave, if at all. You probably want Yukino there in case there's a big fight. Priority number 1 is definitely the Drake.
Right, engage onto Winsome. Bomb goes down, looking for the Solar Flare. Can't get the stun. Winsome staying alive. Call the Forge God. Finds the knockdown to Kitong. Kitong's by himself. Has to burn his flash to get out. Meanwhile, Dragon going to secured, but Kitong will be secured by FXS as well.
Oh, we're not done. Yukino.
Phillips walking right into the fight. Yukino is there waiting for him. It's the stun onto Philip, but he doesn't want to stay here. It's 3-on-1, and Yukino is done.
You do end up wasting a good bit of time. You guarantee Young gets the wave in, and I like that he didn't end up expending the Glacial Prison either. So all in all, Really nice early game from the side of Disguised. A really good adaptation coming out from game 1. They still maintain this 2,000 gold lead. They have a clear win condition to play for. Of course, allowing Tomo to demolish more structures, kind of like what we saw just now, and continue building towards an Ocean Soul. I think both these teams are looking for these longer extended team fights, and I think that's when Ocean Soul does its best work, outside of against Pope comps, of course.
Now you get that recall out of Tomo. Grab that tower. This is tier 2 boots
He can
complete
sniff
along with
the other
first
one.
item, so all that damage, man. It's just waiting to happen. He's looking at it. He wants to cause some destruction right now.
I think he will, to be honest. You have most of his team in the area as well, just to ensure that they get this next wave in. And unless Fierce Starforge commit basically the whole roster to this play, I'm feeling another turret's going to go down. And it's not going to be a blue one.
It's going to feel great for DSG starting off this game very, very early on. I mean, we're 14 minutes in, and they're about to take every single outer tower.
Oh, yeah.
Your Starforge tried to defend, but it's a Ziggs, baby. Boom.
Yeah, sorry, not a whole lot of defense to be had here. And we're very slowly seeing Fierce Starforge kind of lose the plot of this game. It feels like it all started with that bot lane play, the awkward clear that XU started with early on. It kind of got him to this point where he's basically, up until now, been either even or slightly behind Yukino. And on a pick like Kindred, where you're trying to get as much gold and farm as possible, and of course, those stacks of your passive, it doesn't feel very good. You combine that with the fact that DSG have had Keaton move around this map the entire time to ensure any play, fear, go for it doesn't really work. And you can see what it's culminated into. 3K gold lead, 2 Drakes to their name. DSG in a very strong position.
It's a great look from DSG because it's showing that they're adapting to the series. They know what XU did last time, so hey, Keaton, XU duty. All them shenanigans, but look at this. Woo, easy drift, man. Oh, not so easy. Not so easy. Never mind.
It's okay.
Never
Six.
mind.
We have 6. We have 6. It's okay.
Run away. Okay. Good. Toma was able to take it. Now Yukino has to make haste. ABO coming out of the side. Able to get some more poke onto Yukino, but Yukino, he'll skedaddle on out, and turret secured by DSG.
Great use of the Rift Herald, and it just shows that everything Fear have tried to do in the last minute or so. I'm not going to lie, I forgot about the crash. But everything Fear have tried to do, DSG had an answer. They take a tier 1, and DSG take a tier 2. So they still come out ahead when you just look at the grand scheme of things. So XU trying to take what he can. He's going to get a blue buff. It doesn't have the same sweet taste it did when he was doing it in game 1. But it's the hopes that you're just going to be able to get to that second item, a power spike, a little bit faster. And we do have confirmation that is XU's 3rd mark, so he is still working towards the first upgrade for Kindred.
Rough right there.
That's tough.
But nonetheless, still good for DSG, and especially for Disguised Toast. I know he's doing a viewing party of this at the same time. Don't worry, you won't have to use AI to coach your team anymore. They are pretty capable players. And now they go for the dive on ABO. Chains are going to land. Ooh, nothing going to be found right there as ultimate goes on to Keaton. Keaton will take it right on the chin. DSG looking to bail. Nice dodge out of Tomo. Will use the satchel and he gets out.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really lost there for the side of DSG. They're just happily continuing to shove waves in, chip away at these turrets. And I like that they're leaving Young actually alone on that side and keeping Tenacity with them for the most part when they try to siege a turret. It makes a lot of sense. Aatrox's a champion that is a little hard to run into. Young, playing Corki. So you have decent range. You have a bit of escape with the Valkyrie. I think it's a nice choice that's paid off, and it's part of what's made it so easy for DSG alongside the Ziggs to just demolish turret after turret after turret.
You can see trying to set up before the poke becomes too much. Fear looking for Tomo. But Tomo's out of there, man. He'll flash out, even with the ultimate landing. Now the counter engage coming out from DSG. They try and find Winsome. Mega Inferno Bomb lands. Able to get onto both carries, pulling Winsome right back in. He's cleaved by Tenacity.
So much on to Tomo, and it didn't even secure them a kill. And they couldn't even keep him out of the fight either. That's going to lock down the Dragon Soul point here for Disguised. And again, it's that Ocean Soul. It's going to get them a lot of value in these team fights with the healing, with the mana regen. And this game is just slipping further and further out of Fear's Starforge's control.
And honestly, it kind of felt like the right play out of Fear Starforge, right? I mean, get the engage going onto someone like Tomo before the poke becomes too much. Still going on the wayside as Instinct and Blaze Olive start punishing Tomo and Tenacity. They will not get the kill, but they'll stop them from taking the tower.
And it cost a lot to do so. This is a Tenacity. He didn't have his ult, but he was still able to walk away from that situation. It did cost him his flash, but ultimately DSG not really worse for wear. Soul Point coming through. 5 minutes is the timer everyone on Fear is looking for, Eric. How are they going to stop them from getting this Ocean Soul? That is that big question that they're asking themselves.
I mean, you look at their team comp, look at a 5v5, there is some hope there if they can get the perfect one, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these ultimates really do synergize well together. Something that Fear need to find the setup for. But that's the thing, this is a timer right now. That next dragon is Soul, as you had mentioned, so don't have many more opportunities left to find a response for DSG.
Yeah, the crazy thing too this game is that I don't think Fear or Starforge have actually gotten a real 5v5 team fight so far. It's just been a lot of skirmishes. It's been a lot of DSG dictating the pace and looking for these angles. And I think that's why I had belief in what Fear's comp was able to do. You still have a lot of long-range engage, a lot of long-range damage between your solo laners. You add Ornn into the mix. I want to see them actually utilize that in a straight-up front-to-back team fight. They only have maybe 2 chances, one of them being when that Dragon Soul actually comes up to make it happen. So I'm looking for them to do something soon.
We've seen how impactful a ramp equalizer can be to ruin people. DSG might have a problem with their mid laner being caught out, but no, Young will still come down. Instinct, it's a shutdown, but not without some resistance from Young.
Well, it's still I was about to say it was a positive, but again, I mean,
Power.
1-for-1 kill, a tier 1, you're losing a tier 2 in the process. You have to overcommit so much, and that means DSG are happy to take more in the process. So it just means that, yeah, you get yourself some breathing room by having that top lane pushed in very deeply. You do pick up a shutdown that Young was holding on to. But I mean, other than that, it doesn't really close the gap that you're hoping for here. It's still not the 5v5 I want to see from Fierce Starforge.
Because that's the struggle, right? Sure, you got Tomo, but man, you had to commit people down there in order to do that. And if you're, not Tomo, excuse me, Young. And if you're committing people down there, that means Tomo is just wandering off on his own adventure. Hey, look, tower there, boom!
It's worth noting, Tomo, Splash, since you mentioned it, is still down. That's an angle we could see Fierce Starforge go for. You take him out of the picture, you'll feel a lot better about trying to trade turrets across the map.
I see you waiting in the brush. Looking for an angle for Fierce Starforge, but not coming anytime soon. You still need that 5v5 setup, and right now DSG are not going to allow it. They're going to go lane to lane and ruin your day. Keaton grabs Philip by breaking out in the mid lane. XU's low. Lam's Spite has been used. Ultimate gets popped back from Instinct. Defensive one as Fierce Starforge continue to struggle.
I got to give that shout out to Keaton. He's been having good play after good play here in this game too, and he's been looking pretty damn good. And that angle is going to allow DSG to secure this Baron. It's going to be so nice for them who have already gotten some of these waves pushed in. They secure this. They're going to be able to back spend their gold and be in a perfect position to go for that Dragon Soul that they have spawning in a minute 30. Can Fear stop them?
They might be in the position to just outright take another fight. Ooh, this is working good for Fierce Starforge, though, because this means that the Baron was not taken by DSG. A little bit of a turn and burn going awry for DSG.
Yeah, it's tough, though, because that argument of an exchange of Baron for Soul, I mean, even though it is part of the conversation, I don't think it's really up for discussion. I think the Soul's power is too much. So props to Fear for being able to stop it, but they still find themselves in a very difficult position. They kind of are going to be forced to do whatever DSG try to do, and you can see it. And walking into Fog, this is exactly what they were doing to DSG in Game 1. Having your side of the map dark, forcing you to walk into Fog, especially as a champ that's not a tank, it's a very difficult thing to do.
Just casually chuck down the ultimate 2 items. Doesn't really matter. Instinct, you gotta go back, buddy. The same thing has been said for Young. He's on 2 items as well, Infinity Edge plus Trinity Force. I don't know if you've been watching. Some of his autos have just been chunking health bars, man. Corki might have received some nerfs, but he's still a beast.
Yeah, I mean, those nerfs turned him from a very not okay champion into a really good champion, you know? So that's kind of the result of that one. And I like what Fear are doing. They have a little bit of time, so they want to be able to knock down this turret and get that midway pushed in deeper. But they don't have the angle. They have very little vision. We just saw earlier how hard it is to walk into fog against DSG's composition. So now it's this dance.
Right.
Now it's a fight.
Here, 1-5v5. They're going to take it right now. Equalizer comes down. Keitong runs low. It's caught out, but will not die. Philip onto Tenacity. Tenacity is ignited. Can't stay in there with the World Ender anymore. Philip still pursuing Tenacity as Fear Starforge start to find their footing. Low health bars are starting to blink for DSG. Tenacity running on the low side. Half health for Yukino. Looking for that poke is a Blaze Olive. Won't get it onto Tomo. XU over the wall. Now the battle lines are drawn. Will DSG cross them again?
It's tough, DSG. This is their soul, and Fear, they don't have their long-range engage with the Ornn ulti, but they still have a good amount of poke here from the Hui, who still has his ult. So ABO, look at him. He's going to be the one trying to set up a big play so they can get this straight.
This is getting close and personal right now. Keitong gets caught up and rooted. The rest of Fear Starforge starts to collapse on him, but he is tanky while he has that W up. Dragon's running low. It gets secured. Going over towards DSG. Now Dragon Soul in their favor, and DSG will come out ahead.
Oh, and Fear, they tried so hard, they committed so much, but they weren't even able to secure a kill. The tankiness of Keitong and Yukino was something that they just weren't capable of cutting through, and now it's cost them. The Ocean Soul belongs to DSG. You can see the healing that it's doing already. Blinking health bars are slowly coming back to full. And it feels like this is the beginning of the end here.
Yeah, Blaze Olive taking a big chunk right there. Equalizer used just to protect the tower. You know DSG are not stopping anytime soon. They got a Ziggs, man. He wants that.
Oh, teleport.
Right, Tenacity versus 3.
Oh my god.
I think this might be a little too many. XU still going to continue with the chase. Finds the shutdown. Tenacity's dead.
Oh, they might find another? No, never mind.
You know,
Yukino's going to walk away.
there's the room to get out, but that's still an inhibitor tower down.
Yeah, I mean, you're in emergency time. If you kill Tomo, I think it's time to just start this Baron. You need to full send it, because if the game continues as it is, you are going to lose.
Right, here comes Young with the chase onto Philip. Just needs a couple more missiles to land onto the back there, but it's not really finding. Keitong and Yukino trying to play diversion over here. Half health for a lot of the members of Fear Starforge. XU's in a bad way. He needs to get a smite off before he goes down. Needs the help. Needs to secure this. He will put up the lamps for spite, but this will stop the Baron from going down as well. Lockdown is found.
Oh, they got it.
It does get secured. Fear Starforge are able to grab it, and they'll take some kills on the way out as well as they look to find their comeback and shrink down the lead DSG have set.
Eric, I can't believe this. The desperation play of desperation plays pays off big time. Remember, this is after you see Philip jump on Tomo and take him out of the picture. This was the best angle Fear were going to have. If this doesn't work, the game ends here and now. But instead, they make it happen. XU holds onto that Lamb's Respite until his life is almost expended. And it's funny because neither jungler make the smite. It's Instinct, the one who secures it for his team. You add the kills on top of that, there's a real world where Fear Starforge 2-0 this series, all of a sudden.
Yeah, look at the gold. We're dead even right now, beatdown. So Fear Starforge, they have a big fighting chance. You want to talk about carries? Go look at XU at the very moment, 4-2-1, currently working on his 3rd item. He's starting to catch up now after what was a little bit of tough of an early game for Fear X Starforge, but now this is looking like fighting words coming out from them.
Yeah, 100%. At this point, too, you're seeing DSG still in a pretty strong position. Tomo is on his 3rd item, a really strong breakpoint for the Ziggs. So something to still be very excited about in terms of poke and long-range damage. You still have the Ocean Soul as DSG. By no means is it over.
Oh.
But Fear, Starforge have gotten themselves a chance.
He's got the chase. That's easy right there.
Wow.
Yeah, even with the Flash of Ill for Tomo, he was not going to be able to escape that. XU is strong right now, and ornaments are coming online, so you're starting to feel some scaling out of Fear Starforge, and DSG are feeling it even more.
Wow, that's tough. That is 2 big, awful deaths coming through from Tomo. Yukino's ult goes wide.
All right, here we go. Teleport now coming in. This tower will be forfeit. Fear Starforge now marching into the base of Disguise. They'll take inhibitor number 1.
They're going to be able to walk away with that one. Very successful Baron buff. We're looking at 4.5k. They're just going to go ahead and spend all that gold that they just earned, Eric. And it's a lot. When it comes to the catching up, that's done with. Fear pulled ahead for the first time in this game. And considering how far behind they were, that is a massive gold swing coming through. I mean, again, we're seeing the fact that Fear Starforge were behind most of this game. It felt like they didn't really have an angle to play for, but they catch out Tomo. 2 very crucial deaths, Eric. That one cost the Baron, and then the second one cost their top inhibitor.
And suddenly Kindred is looking terrifying. That 3rd item is now done. We got the Black Cleaver on top of it. So Fear Starforge, who, by the way, I just want to throw this out. If you guys ever rename Fear Forge, that's a good one. A little easier to say.
I have a feeling since the company's called Starforge, that's probably not going to happen. But, you know,
it's all right.
They're
forging fear on the Rift right now, so I can at least take that.
Yeah, fair enough. That they are. And we were looking earlier at the stack count there for Instinct. I'm going to be honest, he's stacking slow this game. Less than 100 stacks in 30 minutes. That's a little brutal. But you know what? All is forgiven when you secure Baron like he did. Am I right, Eric? Like, come on.
I mean, he was kind of bullied in the bot lane by both Tomo
he was
and
getting
Kitan.
He was getting walked.
They went nuts on the poor man, but hey, able to find his way back. Fear
But
Starforge now with the gold lead.
If Fear Starforge win, everyone has to say bot dip. Those are the rules.
Yeah, just get brutalized for an entire game.
But who
it's
won?
The
Who won, Eric?
false confidence that it instilled
Yes!
in you.
See, you understand strategy, Eric. That's my man.
Well, look at this setup now for Fear Starforge, because Elder's coming up very, very soon right here. And if Fear Starforge have the inside track, I think it bodes very, very well for them to get these key ultimates onto those ramps.
Yeah, and again, this is the Elder Dragon. This is basically what will decide the end of the game. Winsome, he's getting in there. He still has that call. The Forge got it for the first time. Fear had the inside track to an objective before Disguise, trying to keep this side of the map dark, trying to get an angle.
Ultimate comes out and lands on the ABO. ABO's in a bad way. Lamb's Rested comes out. ABO's going to be able to stay alive. Satchel will not pull him out. Tenacity getting burned down by Philip. Yukino chases. Still the flamethrower burns away. Yukino's able to defend his top laner, and no one goes down just yet. Beat.
Dude, and this is the Ocean Soul. Nobody dying means all they need to do is hang around for a couple of seconds, and they're basically going to heal back to full. This is disaster for Fear Starforge.
You got to act quickly. They can't allow that regen to come online. Same thing with DSG. They want that regen. They don't want the recalls for Fear Starforge. There still is teleports available. Now DSG right on the Elder. Recalls coming out, teleports being channeled immediately after 6k health remains on the Elder Drake. Winsome leading the front line. XU's over that wall. He's going to look for the steal. Tenacity in a bad way. Here comes XU. He's going for it! XU! Lawrence XU! Shoo! Send that one straight to Rafa. Know the name or get erased by it. Fear Starforge march right onto DSG and send them to the hills. Send them to the grave. They're looking to send them to a 2-0 devastation.
It looks like you can never count out Fear Starforge, Eric, because what a clutch steal from a competent LCS jungler like XU. This is why we have these expectations. Him and a Blaze Olive are why we think this team will go the distance in the regular season, go the distance in the playoffs, and this clutch victory, you gotta assume, is the first of many.
Dragon Soul, everything in their hands, but Fear Starforge will be heard. 2-0 victory for Fear X Starforge.
And man, that's what feels bad for DSG, Eric. We just got to throw that one out really quick. It was a nice adaptation from them in the second game where they were really learning from how XU was playing things early on, but they started to kind of lose the plot a little bit. Again, Tomo, man, I'm sorry to call out players, but like those 2 deaths were super impactful there in the back half.
It's very, very brutal. Let's take another look at that final fight around the Elder Drake, because that's where it was all really defined. I mean, we went deathless for a while at the start of this. It was really on a knife's edge.
Yeah, and this fight, I really thought it was over from Fear at this point, because again, the Ocean Soul is so impactful. You don't kill a Blaze Olive, XU gets the Lamb's Respite in time, but it doesn't matter. In an exchange of ults, an exchange of health bars, the fact that you have Ocean Soul, you automatically win. As soon as they get to walk away like we're seeing right here, it's pretty much done and dusted. And you can see it. Recalls are being channeled. In fact, Keaton trying to prevent the recalls from going through is really smart of him. But
look at XU.
I know, and that's the problem here. The fact that XU gets the clutch steal. This was the only way from this point that Fear were going to be able to make this one work. And XU, he hits it, man.
Look at this. Take it in slow motion, please. Come on, observers. There we go. Let's see what the health is. 349. It was a premature smite, and XU comes out ahead, B.
Oh.
It's just him.
You know, he's going to be thinking about that one a little bit later on, and that's definitely, it feels bad if I ever saw it, but that's right. Again, that was the only way. That steal was how Fear come back and win this game, and XU manages to make it happen, and the rest is just history.
And off of that note, we're going to set up for an interview. We'll have XU on the other side right after this break, so be sure to stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to NACL. I am joined by XU after his victorious 2-0. How you feeling right now, man? I mean, good way to start the season, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a banger game too. I misclicked at Grubs and made the game really hard, but you know, I think it was all for content, and I want to go back and watch this guy's reaction to me stealing Elder from his team, and you know, see how he feels about it.
All right. Make sure you post your reaction to his reaction as well. We got to keep that going as a loop, right? All right. So I want you to talk to me a little bit about the off season. You know, everything fell through at Dig. You ended up coming back to Tier 2. I know you have a lot of drive in you, but what exactly happened during all that?
I mean, I can't say that much, but obviously I was not at all expecting to be here, but I'm here, and I found out very late. But I'm here and I'm on a team that I'm happy with, so you know, it's a bad situation, but we're making the best of the bad situation. So I'm just excited to do well on NACL and try to get back next year.
Good to hear it, man. Off of that note, you ended up with Fear Starforge. How did you end up joining this roster? Who reached out to you, and how have you liked playing with the boys so far?
Well, honestly, the biggest one was JJ, right? Because I played with him on Dig Academy, and he was like, "Yo, I'm on this amateur team. I'm gonna play again." And I was like, "Okay, I don't really care what the other offers are. Like, I'm down to just play with you because I know you're good and you're someone I want to work with." And then obviously he's actually not playing, so kind of baited me a little bit. But I mean, I'm still happy to be here. And I did tryouts with Winthrop just to fill in for a scrim, and I played with Winsome, and I thought, wow, this guy's like, if anyone was gonna change my mind to switch to team, it would be him. And then he's here, so like it's really just the best of both worlds, and I'm just happy.
Everything just fell into place.
Yeah.
All right. Now that you're playing with DSG, now that you had your first game with them,
Wait,
talk
DSG?
to me. Not DSG, excuse me. Fear Starforge. Apologies. Now that you've had some time with them, how have things felt on the Rift? Obviously, you went through game number 2 where it seemed like a massive deficit. They had Ocean Soul, but you guys still stay composed. So talk to me about the comms and communication of Fear Starforge.
I think all our players have aura, you know? Like, I feel like this is kind of like a meme, but it's kind of real. And I feel like a lot of our players, everyone has LCS experience. So I feel like we have this aura where, like, even if we're in bad situations, no one feels like we're going to lose. Because, like, I guess the way I see it is like when rookies like Yukino see me on their screen, they kind of like lose their mind and lose their hands. And like that's how I felt in LCS a little bit. So like, I don't know. I think coming back, I just have a lot more confidence. In this roster, I have a lot of confidence. So like, I don't think there's any game state where I'm like, oh, we can't win, because we just have a good team. So
Shows, man. You looked excellent in game number 1. You came back in game number 2. You love to see You love to see stuff like that, because I think you're a phenomenal jungler. I know you're one of Rafa's favorites, so I had to give him the shout out right there. But off of that note, XU, I want to give you a chance to give any shout outs, any coaches, staff, family members, anything you want.
I mean, shout out to my girlfriend who's next to me. I went from playing on like LCS stage where there's like fan audience noise, and now I'm just like, she's literally live right now streaming next to me because I'm staying with her. So like, it's just kind of funny. Like instead of hearing like a crowd in the background, I just hear her like yapping about whatever she's doing. So
who's
like,
louder? Who's more distracting, the crowd or her?
Who's louder? I mean, she's much louder than the crowd because like, there's like white noise and stuff to block out the crowd, but she's like 15 feet away from me. So like, she's definitely louder.
Any more shout outs you got with that?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Fear. I really like our team. Honestly, no one was really expecting to win this game because like we've been doing pretty bad in scrims, and I think obviously we just started playing together, so like it was just whatever happens. But I think we really showed a good first showing, and I'm excited for the rest of the year.
Excited as well, man. Thank you so much for joining us for this interview. Be sure to catch you next time. I'm excited to see more Star.
Thank you. See ya.
With that note, we're going to throw it over to short break. When we return, we'll get ready for our second series of the day. That's going to be TLC versus AoE. back, everyone, to NACL and Beatdown. Man, that's gotta be rough right there when your girlfriend is louder than the audience, man. Like, whew.
I mean, that's rough for the audience. I think LCS audience needs to step it up. I think Kangas
Honestly,
needs to dress up his Pantheon more often and hype up the audiences a little more, like he does at finals from time to time, you know? So I'm really glad I found a way to pin this on Kangas.
I agree completely. North American crowds, we need more energy, man. We need more chants.
Yeah.
I know this is just a Twitch stream, but even with LCS, man, gotta bring it over there. But we're jumping right into this series. The teams are already ready. So this is Team Liquid Honda Challengers versus AOE. Now, again, Team Liquid, they have a long history of player development. So bringing this roster in once again for another season. And honestly, they had a good end of the season run. So I'm excited to see how they develop.
Yeah, things were definitely rough and slow going with some of the shakeups to the roster going through there in summer. And they really turned it around in that back half. So it's exciting to see if they're going to keep that momentum going here into the summer split of 2024. And I mean, AOE, this is basically a brand new team with the exception of Wixie and Breezy. NXI has made his return to the jungle role. Another player who I thought didn't get a fair shout early on last year. And now on a roster where, I mean, a lot of these guys knew each other. A lot of these guys are friends. So on this roster, we're going to see, finally, what a lot of us were excited about last year.
This is an interesting roster from AOE, to say the least. I mean, you got the Giga Chad Garen himself and Moose Hater. He's now back. Q-Pick is our first VTuber that we've now seen in the league. This is one of the teams where I'm expecting them to play most out of pocket. And the moment I say that, they lock in the most in-pocket champion with Gorky.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a really nice pick going first for the side of AOE. But oh my god, the actual cart that's getting through is crazy to me. I think this is like the strongest jungler on the patch, Eric. And the fact that TLC are able to get that for themselves on someone like Keel, no less, is a great feeling.
Exactly. We are hearing that we're getting a lot of new viewers in. So for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, this is the NACL North American Challengers League. This is the Tier 2 of League of Legends play. Currently right now, our teams getting their draft done for game number 1. This is our second series of the day, AOE versus TLC. So welcome. Thank you for joining. And already, we're now getting out of the pocket as Lux is going to get locked in for AOE.
Wow, that is something that I really didn't have on the bingo card when I was reading the patch notes over these last couple of days. But I mean, her big strengths as a champion is probably mid-Lux. Maybe they're setting up for a Caitlyn, but I'm expecting Cupid to run with this one. Is that you do clear waves pretty easily. You build Malignancy with your ult all the time. Kind of gross, disgusting. So you do have that priority. That NXI is going to be able to use pretty easily, I think, and move around the map.
So we're going to have the Lucian and Nautilus in the bottom lane for TLC. I'm getting some word in, by the way. Emily, our producer, has let us know that Q-Pick, rank 1 Lux player. So this is a very, very
a mid-Lux
comfortable pick in the hands of Q-Pick.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of comfort too, I want to bring it back a little bit to the Karthus jungle there for Keel. And again, the best jungler on the patch, in my opinion, especially the AP variety, just clears so fast, makes the best use of both First Strike and, of course, the new item Blackfire Torch. And it's in the hands of Keel, someone who I've always thought is really good on these farming type junglers. We've seen him do it over the past couple of years. He is very efficient. He's still able to impact the map. And for him to be able to get this one in game 1, I feel like TLC are going to start us off with a bang.
And it's also a lot of fun. A little bit of an older shout out right here that Keel's going against his old teammate and Moose Hater.
That's true.
What was really awesome about this duo is they could constantly go out of pocket with a lot of their picks. And even if you tried to draft against them and ban away stuff like Aaron, they always had something else they could really promote. I think Keel is the player who can settle into something like TLC much better than the situation of someone such as Moose Hater, who has been a little bit more of a one-trick in the league thus far. But what is going on over here? I see 2 marksmen now locked in for TLC as we have both Lucian and Jinx.
I mean, I gotta assume that's Lucian mid, which I guess that's Roamer's response. I mean, he usually leaned towards the Tristana. That ends up getting banned away from him, and it was one of his best champions in spring earlier this year. So to see him go for another AD mid, it definitely fits the bill from what we kind of expect to him. Just Lucian mid. Another champion that, you know, I don't expect to see very often. I think that mobility will feel really nice playing into the Lux. You know, you have an easier time with your E to dodge that light binding. That is the bane of every League player's existence.
So good mobility to deal with the Lucian deal with the Lux, excuse me, in the mid lane. Now, final picks come in. We're building up that front line for AoE. They grab both the Rel and the Cassante alongside the Udyr. This does give a lot of meat you have to get through for TLC as they decide their final pick.
Not only that, AoE have a good amount of range on their side when you think about the Lux and the Corki in their back pocket. So the all-in is really important for the side of TLC, that ability to close the gap. I think that's why we're seeing that last pick Camille there for Jenkins. You pair it with that Nautilus, you're closing the gap, and the Hextech Ultimatum is so nice against champs like Corki, like Lux, those squishy champions where you just want to keep them locked down in one little small box so the rest of your team can jump on them and blow them up.
There's no chance to Valkyrie away. You're in the Thunderdome, brother.
And there's no escape.
It is Jenkins, by the way, which, starting off as we do start to head into the Rift and count this out, I do want to talk about some of the issues that we've seen from TLC.
We're getting straight to it. All right, let's go.
We got topics to talk about as we start setting up for this game.
No, hey, I'm listening, man. Hold on. You need my ear, bro.
Yeah. Bring it over here. I mean, okay, so for Roamer, his issue was he had some of the best laning that you would have in the league, but when he came to syncing up with the team, that's where the struggle started to come in. Jenkins, on the other hand, there were some bad looks coming in the top side for him at the tail half of the season, excuse me. So I want to see just how TLC is going to iron this out now coming into this season, because last season, even with those issues, they got third place. With more time, we might see how high this TLC ceiling is.
Not only did they get third place, they were a couple good team fights away from smashing FlyQuest challengers. By the way, our spring champions. Just to give you an idea of what the glow up was for Team Liquid challengers in the back half of Spring Split. Again, that's why it'd be great to see if they can keep that momentum up going over into this split. And of course, AoE side again, there's just a lot of things to talk about here. The return of Wixie and Breezy as a duo. Wixie, who we thought retired, pretty much instantly came back. Esports Keck. That's really all I have to say about that one. But it is cool to see that he's made it back into this one. And NXI is the big one for me. You know, a jungler who has had a decent bit of time in Tier 2, of course, played in LCS a couple of years back as well, had motivation issues, and then found his way back to us back in 2023. Things didn't work out. I mean, we were all there, CLG, Faith, Last Dance. It was a tough time for everybody. So now, this looks like more of a roster, especially with people that he knows and is friends with, to be able to finally show us a bit of what we saw in him a couple of years back and see what else he is capable of.
I still see it being a very volatile roster to that regard, though.
Yeah.
It's hard to enable same things that you want to enable. Like, for example, Moose Hater's flanks. Very, very legendary for that. Some of his Garen flanks were just like, where'd he come from, bro? It's just Randy Orton slithering on in. But can you still get that type of setup with this roster? That's going to be a question I will be asking. However, on the opposite side of things, TLC, I think we got to talk a bit about the MASH era, right? Because he's the current coach for TLC. Now, both of us, we had conversations with different players on how MASH has been doing as a coach so far. I personally talked to Kim Down, and what Kim had told me was he likes the fact that MASH is great at taking the individual's opinion and perspective, and he navigates real well through stuff like language barriers, which we did have issues when Roamer came in with stuff like that. Yeah, nothing but good things to say, basically.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you bring that up, too, because that is another point about TLC. I mean, Roamer, straight from LCK Challengers, a player who, they were really excited about going into spring, and when I talked to Keel about it a couple months ago, he told me that, yeah, you know, it's tough, because you want to communicate a lot with mid lane, and there was that language barrier. But, you know, I checked with them at multiple points, and there was a clear improvement, which, you know, happens to also parallel the improvement of TLC as a whole. Funny that.
That long-term growth and development. I think a lot of players are looking for their own thing to work on to get better as a player. Keeping that conversation on Kim Down, what he said is he wants to be more vocal. Every time he picks up something.
Yeah, true.
Every time he picks up something, he's always quick to figure out the next thing he needs to work on.
Yeah, I think that's why, I mean, even when APA was on the roster, He gave Kim Down a lot of praise, saying he was a really hard worker. When he played with Arrow last year, he said the same thing. So really, it is nice when you get that glowing recommendation from your teammates like that. And also, we did have a bit of an interesting switch up. This is not how I expected this to play out exactly, but it is that Lux in the bot lane, an IRL swap, if you will.
I didn't even notice that for a while there. I was just so drawn to our conversation. Yeah, the pick will be in the bot lane, so it'll put a showdown of Marksman, the Lucian versus the Cork mid.
Yeah, and it could be possible you want to avoid that matchup there. I mean, Corky will be fine into Roamer, and Lux, I mean, will mostly have a pretty easy time farming in the bot side. The thing that's so good about her in lane phase is the range of her E and how easy it is for her to interact with the wave, just to be able to clear it out.
The only thing that does hurt is, for mages, you want the experience more than anything else to start getting certain abilities scaled up with their base damage, as well as just getting the final spark altogether.
Yeah,
so that is going to slow down that for Cupid in the aspect of being an AP.
Yeah, and other than that, we have junglers going for their full clears, pretty much unencumbered. Jenkins tried to get an invade, use that priority to get himself a little bit of information for his jungler and Keel. And I think you're in a fine game state as TLC. We didn't really get a chance to talk about this one before, but when we think about Karthus Jinx, they scale really well. That late game is going to look so good for TLC as a team. So if things continue nice and slow as they are, they're going to be really happy about that one, especially with how good, again, Keel is at these farming-style champions, how he's able to naturally build up these leads. I'm looking at AoE to be the one to make the big money moves, if you will.
It is also kind of terrifying to go against this comp, as hold that thought, Jenkins is looking to just take down Moose Hater in the 1v1. Moose Hater flashes and Jenkins will follow him. First blood in the top lane for Team Liquid Honda Challenges.
Yeah, really nice. I think Moose Hater, he's feeling some of the adjustments coming through from Cassante on this latest patch. The damage reduction on the W, the Pathmaker, has gone down quite significantly. You know, when you ult, you get more Omnivamp now, so that's kind of the compensation for it. But in lane, 3-6, Eric, you feel it a lot. And Jenkins kind of showed that to us just now.
I'm going to say, if you have low health, I can't say it. It was there. It was there. He wants Moose Hater, man.
No, you can talk. You can talk. It's fine. It's fine.
When you have low health, if you're AoE, such a terrifying situation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, already the Karthus is scary, but you also have to deal with the Super Mega Death Rocket that could come out from anywhere as well. So there's these two ultimates that can catch you from across the map.
Yeah, and I will say Keel also didn't go for the first strike like we often see with Karthus players. He did go for the Dark Harvest. Also got changed on this patch. A little less damage per stack, but the cooldown is much lower. So he is not looking to print money like other Karthus players are. He wants pure damage. He wants pure cartage.
Still just going for the full clears early is going to be kill. You want to get that level 6 as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Nothing too wild right there. Same thing for NXI, who's going for his full clear. He'll finish over towards that top side. Same time, you do got the respawn of the Scuttle coming out, so love the timing over there. The junglers just playing it rather on the slow side. They don't want to meet too early. This isn't the get in your face and engage like we've had with Fights and Shells Beast.
Not quite, but it's a nice feeling for sure for TLC. Again, like you have this Jinx Karthus, you're looking to play slow, scale for late. The fact that you're able to sneak away an early Drake like this is definitely a good feeling. I think that's part of that swap, part of the consequences of that swap, because you don't have that potential wave clear and poke damage of the Corky. Instead, it ends up being the Lux on that bottom side. Doesn't mean it's a little harder for you to try and fight for that bot prio. You're just clearing waves as quick as you can. So it gives TLC a nice advantage early.
Pop those Skittles all over the place, take the drag. Now NXI gets put into the ultimatum by Jenkins. NXI is very low. He does have his flash available. Ultimatum has timed out. Moose Hater waiting in the wings, but Wixie getting caught by the calling. Also about 100 health, and TLC hold control over the Void Grubs, but maybe not for long as Breezy looks for the engage, able to find it onto Kim Down, who's left by his lonesome. Will use the hook to get out, and TLC survive by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, that was a bit of an awkward one. At the end of the day, TLC they try to do a lot, but they aren't able to stop really any of the grubs from going down. Or as soon as I say it, Keel's gonna at least secure one from himself, and that's really all they get for all of their troubles, summoner spells, and the like. Overall, if you're TLC, that's fine. You have a bit of a gold lead building for yourself, and you're very happy about this, especially considering you have that first Drake. So I think AoE looking to play for that next grub spawn, hoping they can get as close to that grub again as you can, and maybe try and stack some Drakes while you're at it.
It was a good attempted engage from AoE, but it's also a good heads up from Kim Down. His positioning was able to get the flash over the wall, followed by the hook. Created a lot of distance, and AoE are still looking for their first kill of the game. Gonna find it with that last exchange.
Oh, wow, spawn. That's really what I was holding my breath for. Nice fancy feat to be able to dodge out on the movement. And again, it's tough too, because your real go button for the side of AoE for the most part in this early game, you're kind of looking at NXI, you're really looking at Breezy. And a player who we thought has always been kind of in the upper middle tier of support players in Tier 2 here at NACL. Got to see what he's able to do, what kind of plays he's able to set up so that AoE can actually get a gold lead going.
Looking for some level of lead over in the bot lane as a hard push comes out from AoE. Getting control of this quadrant of the jungle, looking to push away Keel, try and bully away this Karthus. Again, Karthus is very squishy, so getting caught out by yourself, yeah, you have a cool passive, but it really doesn't mean much if they can just pick you off and leave, so Keel will easily just forfeit that blue buff.
Yeah, and it's something you're kind of okay with parting with. It's good on him for just respecting it and not overcommitting himself there. Doesn't even have to blow the flash. And you look at the rest of the map here. Oh, I wonder if that will... Ooh! That is pretty nice to delay the back there from Q-Pick. Does mean that you might be able to sneak away a plate as a result of that one, so good on Spawn for catching that.
This is where Moose Hater is having a lot of his struggles laning against Jenkins. Here comes Keel. We'll put the wall of pain down. Moose Hater steps forward. He's just looking for the trade, looking to get something back for NXI. NXI will jump onto Keel. And it might be enough of a distraction. Kim Down shows up, though. Gonna change the situation. Hook goes on. Unstoppable comes out at the right time for Moose Hater. Meanwhile, in the picture, the chase coming out from Wixie. Wants to be able to survive what Roamer's putting in his face. But Roamer might have gone too far forward. Still has the dash to get over the wall, so he should be fine.
Yeah, it might have been on cooldown, but luckily Breezy isn't close enough and didn't have his flash available to actually close that play out. And again, it's TLC showing us a lot of activity in this early game. Jenkins has had a really good start so far. They're taking advantage of the favorable top lane matchup and the fact that Jenkins got the lead from the solo kill. So really, it's the best play available to them. And we're going to see if TLC actually are going to be able to sneak another dragon in the coming minutes.
Jenkins can keep going like this. That's where things get very, very worrisome from AoE, because that means you're kind of just forfeiting your side lanes. Camille can be volatile as all hell. You don't want her fed.
No, not at all. And especially when you're playing as Lux, as Corki. Any one of you get hit by that Hextech ultimatum, I got bad news for you. Good chance you're going to die. And it's tough too, because you're playing for resets as TLC. All you need is that one kill for Spawn to get excited and start running people down.
20 seconds until the Drake comes up. Kim Down will be the first one to put his foot there, but there are more members of AoE, so they'll fight for vision control. A bit of sweep coming through. They also have NXI in the area, but he's going towards the top side. Rather go for the Void Grubs.
Yeah, it's a big thing there for AoE right now, just because the timing, they want to be able to get the Void Grub spawn, so they need to get at least 2 of these, but they're in a position where they're probably just going to get all 3. I'm imagining TLC happily trade that and grab another dragon as response once this bot wave bounces back.
Well, that puts some of these neutrals onto a timer, more specifically for AoE. Trying to stop that third dragon can be pretty clutch right now. Be pretty pivotal as we get into this. I mean, for Kill, even if you take a team fight, Kill goes down, you're still gonna have his passive around the dragon. There's little things you have to worry about giving TLC too many windows on these neutrals.
Yeah, and it's tough too, because Sure, getting 5 out of 6 grubs in general feels nice, but its max value comes from when you have duelists who are going to be able to take full advantage, be hitting turrets constantly and often, right? When I look at Cassante, when I look at Lux or whoever they're going to be sending in the side lane later on into the game, I don't really foresee any of them hitting turrets very often. It's only going to come in situations where they push as a group. So when you consider the fact that they traded these 5 grubs for 2 Drakes, I think TLC are miles ahead.
Play going to be picked up by Cupid. This is the advantage you have of having that mage in the bottom lane, just the hard push you can really go for. That being said, though, you don't really get too much when you do get onto the tower. It's not like it's going to be a Zig situation where you can just go for it.
Not quite.
You do have a little extra work you got to put in there.
A little.
The setup and the rotation coming out for AoE at the time being feels like they're dancing to a lot of tune.
Oh, they are. Most certainly. And TLC now are going to take advantage of the prio they have mid and top and all that pressure. Keel's just going to be able to easily take away the Gromp. There's a potential dive here. Crusader has been really good about sniffing these out so far, so he catches Keel a little bit before the wave crashes.
I don't think they have sight on where Breezy is. He is off the map currently, so there's a chance TLC might expect him towards this top end, and yeah, you're seeing Keel back off, so they're not going to set up for the dive.
Which is fine. Jenkins is still going to be able to get the demolish proc off of the turret, get more damage there onto that structure, and look at these health trades, man.
Jeez.
It is brutality in the top side.
Now AoE with the first foot towards the bottom side of the river. Problem is, there's no dragon. Not denying anything right now. It's just early setup towards the side of the map. Not going to really force the hand out of TLC, who are kind of staying pretty right now. Yeah, it's been a slower game, but they've just been getting a passive lead the longer this goes on.
They have been. It's gone up to 2,000, and this has nothing to do with kills, really. Only 1 kill went their way. Speaking of Romer, he's looking.
He's got the call, and it's coming out onto Wixie. NXI runs, but he doesn't run fast enough to deny the death of his mid laner.
Yeah, Keel with the ult, just to help in case his mid laner wasn't able to secure it, but really nicely done there for Romer. Only a 1-for-1 because NXI showed up. And at least in response, you're going to be able to grab the Rift Herald for yourself. That is a nice chunk of gold you could gain with this objective if you're able to successfully knock down a structure, probably mid.
Oh, combo onto Kill, and he's gone in the blink of an eye. Cupid will get rid of the jungle at TLC.
Much needed kill, and honestly, really nicely done. I have a feeling once we get to that soul point, Eric, Cupid's gonna wish he had that flashback, but for the moment, it definitely feels good being able to take Keel off the map for a minute.
And we just get the game where Cupid's on Lux, Moose Hater's on Garen. Right now, NXI is on Romer. And the follow through from Wixie, it will be a kill picked up for AoE as they'll take the kill lead.
They sure will. And between those kills, they are able to almost equalize the gold lead. And you got to imagine knocking down this mid-tier 1, which is first brick actually, which is pretty funny all things considered, is going to allow them to just fully close that gap. And there it is. We're dead even now.
Good spike of gold going on to Wixie. He already has his Trinity Force completed, so that's 1 spike coming through.
Sure.
It's a good time to cash in on that money because a minute later, you're going to have that dragon up towards the bot side.
And the hope is that it will be able to make a difference. Again, Cupid, no flash. NXI, no flash. And when you see what Jenkins is able to do, my lord.
Oh, that was a good, look at the name of the move. Dude, good W coming out. Pathmaker for Moose Hater. It breaks the ultimatum, which was huge right there.
Yeah, it does. It ends up being pretty good timing there. Kind of saves his life. There was an angle where Moose Hater pretty much had to flash or die, but it's still Jenkins who maintains that topside control. And the thing is, the whole time, yeah, AoE have been answering back, but there's no answer for Jenkins this game. It's been mostly isolation in this top side, a little help from Keel. NXI showed up from time to time, but when it comes to 5v5s, how can AoE deal with this Camille? I don't think they can, and that's going to be their biggest roadblock.
You're not 5v5ing your side laning, and in both situations, Jenkins is going to win, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great start for him. He's already taken that tower. He has the Tiamat to help push waves. And now with this next recall, we'll see if he's actually able to finish off a second item. No, we'll just go for those tier 2 boots, but it's a back at the time that the dragon's up.
Yeah, and remember, Musader's teleport isn't quite up yet, so there's an angle if they wanted to start this right away and get Jenkins here. Maybe they don't have the exact timer on it, so they're not willing to force it. They're just going to have Jenkins walk it in, and they're very comfortable going for this 5v5, and basically with the expectations we set up, I don't blame them. Remember, keep an eye on Jenkins. He is looking for Cupid. He is looking for Wixie, and if they die early, it's curtains for AoE.
Jenkins is able to lock someone down. That also sets up a situation where Spawn can get excited. Spawn's excited. If Jenkins is doing well, if your carries are dead, oh, I'm sorry. Doesn't look good for you, but instead AoE with their inside track towards Dragon will be the first ones to start it off, and TLC aren't going to take it.
Wow, okay, fair enough. They don't want to go for the Drake fight. I didn't expect it, but I understand it. Again, you are the team that outscales. You got the first 2 Drakes, which is an insane amount of breathing room in situations like these. So you're fully comfortable having your top laner push bot. You're sending Roamer to the top side and just overall maintaining control of this map, because now you have this opportunity to set up some deep vision as you're setting up for this first Baron spawn in 2 minutes.
Taking stock of the map right now, 18 minutes into this. The highlights we have to look at is both Jenkins and Kill. Their farm, they've been doing well in this game to make sure that they're going to scale up towards the later stages. Even with Roamer and Spawn, doesn't matter if they're not ahead, they're still doing well. They're still keeping up with CS. Take that away from Spawn, though, because he is kind of styling on Wixie, even if they're not true lane mates.
I was going to say, it's really Roamer
it's
who's
a weird
styling on
situation,
Wixie,
man.
if we want to be like accurate. So
No,
there's still styling going on, don't worry.
It was really weird because I called Wixie a mid laner earlier, and technically it's right, technically it's wrong.
This game it's right.
Look at this, Kim down, just putting up the defense. As we still have a minute till Baron comes up, and TLC are already setting up the map the way they see fit. AoE kind of trying to play with this Fog of War as they look to get closer. They need a lead with Breezy to clear out some of this vision, but TLC are not going to concede it.
Yeah, and again, this is what TLC earned themselves by just letting go of that third Drake that they never really needed. It's control over that top side, and now, if AoE make a mistake and TLC get a pick or 2, that's just an easy Baron immediately going the way of TLC, because this is a double marksman comp, and neither one of these marksmen, Eric, are poke forests. So your Baron take is crazy.
Hey, not just the marksman, Arthas. Arthas
Yeah,
does a
true.
lot
You're
of
right.
damage, man.
There's a lot of damage, you're right.
They can melt this oh so fast, so yeah. Early setups for TLC, it's more of a gambit for AoE. Hey, are you going to set up anywhere else on the map? Well, we'll take the Baron like that.
Yeah. AoE are going to have to be very careful. And, you know, despite some valiant efforts, the game has slipped away from them once again. TLC find themselves at a 2,000 gold lead. And you can really see it start to culminate in Roamer and Spawn. The former already at 2 items. Spawn about to hit that big power spike for Jinx. Once you hit 2 items, there's going to be a lot of damage.
Musader out of position, has to burn his flash to escape the gank coming in. Now AoE going to be down that for Musader, which, I'm looking at the Dragon timer. It's not going to be the most crucial thing because, again, TLC didn't get the Dragon Soul point. Could mean more if TLC start dancing around that Baron.
You got to imagine that is going to be the big thing. I think the individual Chemtech Drakes, not very valuable for the side of AoE. I mean, sure, the shield power is nice for Q-Pix W, but, like, on the real, I don't care, you know? So, with that in mind...
Hello there.
Oh, hey!
Well, how's it going there, buddy? Just meeting you out in the jungle, NXI? Still, Jenkins is taking this by himself. The Requiem does not take down NXI. But with that, teleports getting burnt left, right, and center. Wixie teleports in. NXI survives by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, but look what happened. You pulled the entirety of AoE to the bottom side. Look what Keel's doing now. Clearing out what vision he can. He's going to take away the blue buff, and now there's an angle onto the Baron. I don't think they start it right away, but just the fact that AoE gave up so much space, they gave up a teleport to match Roamers, is what ended up giving TLC this space.
the same issue that AoE will constantly have to deal with. I said it a moment before. You do anything anywhere else on the map, and TLC are setting up around Baron. Give them too much time, and they will take it.
I will say, one thing I didn't mention, and what kind of makes this a lucky roll of souls for AoE is the Rift. The thing that's really nice about the Chemtech Rift when you're behind is that it is actually hard for your opponents to maintain vision presence on your side of the map just because of those empowered blast cones and how easy it is to make, how easy they make it to clear out vision. So that's kind of the one saving grace AoE have, and it does make it a little harder for TLC to just start the Baron once they have an angle.
Wave clear coming out for Cupid in the mid lane as they try and fight for some control. Mid priority, especially if you want to continue taking some of these dragons. 15 seconds until it does come down. And you can see Kill is already sweeping vision from that side of the map.
A little bit, but oh wow. We're just straight TPing here to the mid lane. Maybe they are suspecting a Baron start, but they have enough vision. So I think it's just about securing mid prio and then getting your pick of neutrals. Again, the Drake doesn't feel as great in general for AoE to stack this one, but you also don't want to let TLC get close to that soul, because even if it's not the best soul, it feels good when you're ahead. Yeah, you could just full send it to the Baron. Remember, double marksman, they take it very fast.
This was the gambit TLC kept putting down. They said, if you go anywhere else on the map, we're going to take Baron in the blink of an eye. Look how fast it's going.
It's gone.
4K health remains, and Baron belongs to TLC.
A nice instant call there from Team Liquid Honda Challengers. It's going to get them the Baron buff. And really, Breezy, I don't know if this is going to work.
Looking for something back. I don't know if AoE want to take this. There's a lot of members of TLC in the area. You're fighting on TLC turf. AoE instead pull back towards mid lane. Super Mega Death Rocket lands onto Breezy along with the depth charge. They're looking to continue this fight. Roamer goes forward, will not catch Breezy. Flash burnt out Jenkins on the flank. He's looking for Cupid, instead turns his attention onto Wixie. Will find one more auto, and he saved the ultimatum, which means you can take more fights. Kim down with the hook onto Cupid. Will land it flush and clean, and TLC take charge.
And the game has collapsed for AoE. They lost 2 members. They're going to lose so many structures. And this 2K gold lead has shot up immediately to 6,000. And it's not done climbing yet, Eric. The base is being broken into. There are still more tier 2 turrets to knock down. And I think we've seen TLC start the beginning of the end of this game.
Amazing use of their win condition on top of that. Grabbing the first 2 Drakes early, they posed a question to AoE that forced AoE to constantly be first on these Drakes. TLC read it beautifully, and now they're the ones wearing purple.
And I think it's safe to say, for the most part, we're seeing that momentum from last split kind of carry over into summer. The fact that I do like the way TLC have been kind of playing the map this entire game, the way they've been pulling AoE around, the way they know exactly what they need to take and what they can give up in favor of something better elsewhere. And it's a great thing to see from our 3rd place finish team in the spring playoffs. Maybe they could push for more this time.
Again, they were so close to a top 2 finish last
split.
It went 3-1 with FlyQuest, but 2 of those games
could have
very
been 3-0,
easily
man.
went to TLC. That could have been a 3-0. Now TLC in the summer looking for redemption, and starting it off with a bang, rotating both around the mid and bottom lane as they look to grab these inners.
And this is the last turret outside of AoE's base. They're sending a lot of people here, but honestly don't know if they have the wave clear to deal with it. They might have to full send a fight if they actually want to stop this from going down, but it's just a matter of time. You still got one more wave with this Baron buff. Jenkins is going to be escorting this wave mid that someone has to answer, so I mean, that's just how the dance goes.
One thing about TLC's composition is they have some pretty good kite. You know, even the Wall of Pain by itself for Karthus allows for a very, very strong disengage. That makes it hard for AoE to find a fight on their conditions. You want Breezy to get in there and lock down some of these carries. These carries do have a way out. Right now, AoE have not been able to find them.
No, now Breezy, I mean, trying to see if he can catch somebody, recalling in a very greedy position, but the angle simply isn't there. Very successful Baron buff from Team Liquid Challengers, and whew, an astronomical gold lead they've built for themselves. They're going to be hard pressed to lose this game. I'm going to be honest. We're just going to be real.
I just really like what we're seeing from TLC in game number 1. I mean, it's their first game of the season, but this feels like they came in with game plan. It feels like they've been practicing as a squad, and they know what they want to go to, they know what win conditions are, and they know how to play to them. This is a very potent team right now that we're seeing.
And that is definitely part of the value of a team returning as a full 5-man squad. No changes. You guys are working together once you come back from the offseason. And you know, you just can kind of very easily pick up where you left off. And it seems like that has absolutely been the case from TLC. Exactly what we wanted to see from them.
Now they're kind of biding their time. They're no longer wearing purple, so it's about setting up for the next objective. And you can see the lane states are step number 1. Over in the top side, Jenkins gets a wave going. Same thing for Roamer in this bottom lane. And now you got members of TLC dancing around the bot quadrant jungle of AoE.
Right, and that's because Dragon is coming up. It's honestly less about the Dragon and more about the fight you can get. Because this gold lead, you don't care about Dragon Soul. You just want AoE to walk into you into Fog. You get a pick, you get spawn excited, and you can snowball your way to the end of this game. That's kind of how I'm expecting TLC to try and close this one out.
Just fight me.
And yeah, real. Exactly.
Hands check, come on. What you got, coward?
I mean, it's not even hands check, it's a gold check. Like, how do you lose these fights as TLC? I would be deeply impressed. Like, Spawn would have to cleanse while walking towards Cupid and then get hit by a Lux Binding. That's kind of how I foresee them losing a fight.
Oh, that brings up the topic of the Lux. I know we're not going to see it next game, but how do you feel about seeing it? I don't see a way in which we get more situations where it just blows up someone like Heal. Everyone else is going to be playing much more further back, and for Cupid to find those angles, that means Cupid has to put himself into jeopardy.
Right, despite the long range from Lux, you definitely have to put yourself at least at a little bit of risk, especially when a Camille is in the game on the opposing team. It's a tough pick. I expected it in the mid lane, so a lot of what I can respect about it didn't really end up showing up this game. You're still able to farm safely. He's still at a really strong point, and the poke is there. But it's really hard when Kim Down is looking to CC you, when Jenkins is looking to pop you like a balloon for you to get any actual damage down. At this point, you got to use your ult to poke.
AoE. Almost 30 minutes into this game, they are now setting up towards the Baron side. And it's going to be 4 minutes before Dragon comes up. NXI is already starting it up, which is a little suspect right now, but TLC, they don't know.
There's a ward.
Yeah, there's a ward there. Hiding under the health bar, so
they're fully
I'm not sure about this one, Beat.
NXI does it very slowly. The hope is that you want to bait a TP and walk away. But at this point, it's looking like AoE. They're fully committing to this one.
Oh, goodness.
And it might cost them.
Oh, goodness. Look at the picture-in-picture. Jenkins is going to town on Moose Eater, and now the rest of AoE are getting absolutely slaughtered. Baron's right there. Thanks for the leash, AoE, but TLC are ready to pop off. Cupid gets one in return, but Spawn's excited, and he'll be able to get one back. NXI, it's still a kill coming in, but not before the triple was found by Spawn, and Baron was found by TLC.
Yeah, just a reminder, Jenkins has been in the base the whole time. Of course they're closing. Jenkins is at 3 items. He has Baroned up minions ready to go. I'm pretty sure he could fight NXI if he really wanted to, but actually, he's just going to settle for the inhib, and he's just going to walk away. There's still another chance before this Baron buff ends for TLC to close this one out. We've crested over 10K. It's kind of uncomebackable.
Showmaker and Cassante haters alike are having a field day right now. They're enjoying this match as Moose Hater has not gotten the better of this exchange. Jenkins is really just bringing the hurt, bringing the pain. And now it begs the question, who answers Jenkins, man?
No one. We posed this question earlier, and it's been answered. He is unanswerable. There's nobody who can 1v1 him. You could throw 4 people at him, and I'm pretty sure Jenkins will be able to just jump away with the hook shot and maybe get a kill in the process. So at this point, AoE, they're just kind of waiting to die.
Send him to Flavor Town.
Is that what Flavor Town is? No.
No,
Is this some allegory for the underworld?
No. Back when Jenkins, his first run on Team Liquid Academy, as it was back then, that was one of the things he would say in his interview when they would leave Kennen up. He's going to send him straight to Flavortown.
Really? That's kind of funny. You know what? Okay, I respect that.
How do you feel about a 11.6k lead? Is that respectable?
I think that is okay. And if you guys didn't catch that, I'm being facetious. That is an incredible gold lead. At a point in the game where I already favored TLC's composition, I look at Jenkins. He's the big dog on campus, 4 items deep. Moose Hater can't deal with him by himself, but the problem is, AoE, they're fighting on too many fronts. They want to try and save this last inhibitor, but Jenkins is going to end the game.
Jenkins is just walking up to that Nexus tower. Moose Hater is trying to be the door, but the door is getting axed right on down, and here's Jenkins. The pressure of the minions coming in the mid and in the top lane. AoE are getting pulled in.
And it's a slow burn coming through here. There's a good amount of wave clear on the side of AoE. It's the only thing that's allowed them to hold on this long, but we are so close, Eric.
You can see Spawn playing it oh so careful. Will now go into that rocket form. Tower's going down. He's excited. Here comes Breezy. He only gets one, and it's the support. Calling goes out. Breezy's taking a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. He will fall. Spawn gets the first kill. He's now excited. Jumps onto Wixie. Here comes the Requiem. Sing your song, kill. And Sky gets dumped. And like that, TLC will take game number 1.
And what a dominating game 1 it was, even though it ended in 33 minutes. Not the fastest game we've seen so far this year, Eric. It was still domination. And it felt like, for the longest time, AoE had no way to play.
Yeah. TLC had a game plan, and they executed it perfectly. They executed beautifully. They executed AoE, man. I mean, there was no real coming back for that one. And now we're seeing the second split of the roster start to blossom, and boy, do they look good. I'm going to throw it over to short break. When we return, we'll get into game number 2. Team Liquid Honda Challengers versus AoE. Welcome back, everyone, to the North American Challengers League. We had game number 1, now complete, TLC. My God, they looked amazing in that game 1 beatdown.
They sure did. It was a clinic, honestly, what they had showed. And it was a nice thing to see because, again, we were really excited about TLC and how they ended spring. We're hoping they would hit the ground running in summer. And so far, with how things have looked in this first game, I think it's safe to say they are off to the races because it was a really nice game. In terms, I like the draft they went for. I like the way they were playing the map. It was very smart. It was very calculated. And it felt like they gave away so very little to AoE, and they just kind of got choked out. It actually took a while for there to be more than double-digit kills total. It was just through map play and knocking down turrets and taking objectives.
And I want to take a moment to highlight a player from TLC That's going to be Jenkins.
Who is it?
Our-
Drew.
A lot of our criticism over last split was towards Jenkins and how he played. I think this is a great start right now for Jenkins. He looked phenomenal against Moose Hater. He kept his lead going, and he was undeniable on the Rift.
He was, and we kept talking about it during the cast. Was there an answer for Jenkins? No. And if there wasn't an answer for Jenkins, this Camille ran roughshod all over the Rift. But, of course, guys, just a reminder, we're doing full Fearless. So all those champs we saw are not available anymore. And just in time, thank you, production. Those 10 champs, gone. Benito, Dunzel, Washington. Now we got to get 10 new ones.
Oh, sorry. It took me a second. The Dunzel Washington.
Yeah? You like that?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an interesting situation. That means Cupid can no longer play his tried and true Lux. But, you know, hey, I'm just going to say Garen's up there. And Moose Hater, if you want to just, you know, hop onto that. I'm not going to look at the rest of the draft. I just want to see Garen.
You know, it is worth noting, TLC did not pay the Garen tax, and they weren't punished for it. So I'm wondering if that's going to continue true throughout the rest of the series. We're going to have to see. But, of course, yeah, a lot of pretty high-tier picks are out of the picture for both sides. And some picks that we don't see very often, like Lux. And it's kind of that question, too, for Cupid, who is definitely a high-elo player. Again, rank 1 Lux, but not very much comp experience to speak of. So champ pool is kind of a question you have in these situations, especially in a full Fearless format. So want to see if he's going to be able to play some of the standard stuff. You know, where's your Hui? Where's your Tristana? Things like that.
And that's where, at least, I hope some of the team fight for AoE starts to come online, because talking about Moose Hater, once again, bringing it back to when he was on Ginger Turmeric, when he was on Wildcard, one of the reasons he looked pretty spot on with those rosters is those rosters really knew how to team fight. So even though you would get the better of the early game against a team like Wildcard, they would out-team fight you, they would outflank you. Moose Hater was a big part of that, so I want to see if AoE can kind of bring back some type of level of 5e.
And then right as we get back into this draft here, again, it's TLC 1-0 up in the series in this best of 3. So yeah, all they need to do is win one more and send AoE packing with their first loss. And now as we see some of the bans come through, I mean, Hui already targeted immediately. Seraphine makes me wonder if that's going towards Cupid as well. And TLC already identifying these potential champ pool issues and trying to see if they can push Cupid on the champions he's not as comfortable with.
TLC will have their first pick here, and the champions I'm looking at, Talia is one that's up, but more importantly, Tristana, something that Roamer was incredible at last season, and the Garen tax has been paid. Beat down. They will ban it away from Moose Hater.
All right, and this time around on red side, you know, they aren't
Tristana tax too.
Yeah, true. They aren't willing to let that R5 Garen come out. They're just like, let's just get rid of it.
Okay, so that leaves TLC to go for the first pick, being the Ashe. Always nice to have because it gives you a lot of information both on where the jungler's going with those hot shots, well, some great snappy engage, Cantic Crystal Arrow, what AoE have in the tank.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious too if Wixie's going to pull out the Varus. You remove that really strong duo immediately right off the bat on 1 or 2 here, or maybe could be the Ezreal as well. I wonder actually if we're just going to straight up see the Ezreal Karma. Karma also banned on 14-12, of course, if we're playing on live patch, so we see all these benefits. And there is an angle where they just try to go poke for poke in the bot lane.
So I'm curious if they're going to go for that as well. I'm trying to remember some of my old Ezreal pairings. Ezreal Karma was the most OG one that we would have back in the day. Or NXI, though. Hey, tried and true. It's going to be the Nidalee locked in, so get some AP jungly going. I know Rafa out there is having a grand time.
Yeah, every time someone picks Nidalee in competitive, I'm sure like his spidey senses go tingling. And that's fine too, because you don't need to pick Karma right away. I don't see a world where TLC are just going to snag that with the Ashe already in what is almost certainly the support slot there. So just why not get yourself a strong AP jungler instead?
A strong mid laner. Blanc gets locked in. And this kind of plays a little bit more to that pick that the Ashe kind of foreshadowed a bit.
100%.
So yeah, TLC going for that. Got one more pick in the tank to go for. I would love to see it. Yup, locked in. Kill will be on Lee Sin.
Yeah, and it's a really great pairing there. The Lee Sin LeBlanc, really good at skirmishing, which is what you already know Nidalee wants to do. So you're answering back immediately with this mid jungle, saying that you're willing to fight it out in that early to mid game. And now I'm wondering, what is that AD mid matchup going to look like? Tristana's out of the picture. I was thinking Yone, just because I think you need some AD in the mix. But, oh god, wow! So Cupid's just locking into Zoe. All right.
Cupid, long-range mage player is what we're getting out of Cupid right now.
100%.
The first game was Lux, now we got the Zoe, so this gives a lot of long-range poke as a whole
It does.
to AoE, because now you're dealing with spears, dealing with mystic shots, you're also dealing with the paddle star.
Yeah, so it's a little tough because you really increase the value of Merc Treads from the mid-jungle of TLC, but this is fine because it's, as you say, it kind of fits with the identity of the comp overall. Range, zone control, it's really hard to walk into these objectives, and TLC, the only long-range engage they have so far is this Ash Arrow. So I'm expecting, now that this Kallista's out of the picture, maybe they ban a tank top laner that we might see Moose Hater play. The Zac is actually a really great example, but also I meant to say Jenkins, but you know what? Point is, they're just targeting the bottom lane on the side of AoE, and they have no interest in removing any long-range engage options from Jenkins. That's what I'm expecting him to go for immediately.
I think some of those more beefy frontliners could help out AoE a lot because they've yet to really start dialing into that. And you can see that TLC, they're going to put respect on to that cause because both Zac and Malphite taken away. It's a very snappy engage that AoE would love to take advantage of. No longer. Now they have to build that front line.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see what the pick you're going for here is going to be. You know it's Ashe support, but at the end of the day, you're just gonna hold on to that till the last moment here. Frontline is important, and that's kind of what I was hoping for AoE to go for overall. You need someone to make some space for these poke champions. Make it so that another but different reason that it's a little dangerous for you to walk into fog. Face check these guys. So I think that fits, and you give Breezy the last possible moment to lock in whatever support he wants.
And on top of that, you get a strong pairing in the top side. Nidalee and Renekton is kind
That's
of the
true.
OGs that used to run with here. And
wow.
speaking of OGs, Kennan's pulled out by Jenkins. This was his tried and true pocket pick for the longest time, and we're going to get to see it on the Rift.
The Jenkins used to get a lot of flame, even as recently as last split, about being, what is it, a 2 or 3 chick? I know Rumble, Kennen, and Warwick were like the big 3, and then people would say, if you take those away, what else do you have? Well, A, his Camille was great. B, he's got one of his comfort champions. You pair that with the Leona, and that's the way to kind of beat this sort of composition. You need to close the gap. You need to get into their faces.
All right, it's a pretty strong response coming out. Gives a lot of magic damage over to TLC, and it puts the Ashe into the marksman role instead of the support role. However, for AoE, I do think this is a good response. Grabbing the Alistair, Breezy has shown that he's incredible on this champion. There's the old flank that he did where you said it was so deep that King Arthur couldn't even pull it out.
No, why are you bringing that up? I was literally hoping you would. Okay, it's not important. Moving on.
Very important, but hey, Breezy's got that big engage to try and help out these poke champs.
And the thing I like even more about the Alistar is that your ability to absorb engage. This team wants to full send it into you, so having that Renekton to play interference, having this Alistar to play interference, make space while the rest of your team is, throwing whatever it is they're throwing depending on their respective champion. That's kind of the idea on how this comp wants to be played out. So I think it's a good way to round out the comp for AoE. I think both of these teams have very clear ways they want to play things out. And it's a little harder for me to call a straight-up winner.
Yeah, I was gonna speak up a lot on how I think AoE should play out of pocket, but then TLC pull out this draft and get the Kennen back in there. Not really sure how this is gonna go, but I'm excited to see it. And if you are too, let us know who you think is gonna take this dub. Will it be TLC? Will it be AoE? Let us know in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Maybe we don't have the answers, but Twitch chat, who knows everything, does. Right, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the greatest analyst alongside Reddit analyst,
Oh my god, you're right. Dude, they have to they need to do some kind of Twitch chat poll and Reddit poll to make analytical decisions, and I would just love to see who would be a better coach, Reddit or Twitch chat?
That's something we got to do for the future, man.
Dude, that could be a content. We got to write that down. Somebody write that down.
Getting into the focus of this game, let's talk win conditions a little bit. Beat down. We were talking about a lot of the early pick that TLC have. They're going to look to utilize that and kind of press the tempo early, especially with the Lee Sin. What do you see the conditions over on the side of AoE?
You have a lot of ability to skirmish. The biggest point of interest for me is Cupid, of course, on the Zoe. We talked about Champ Pool being a question mark for this player, and pulling out something that we'd expect from someone like Samikin over on Blue Water is definitely exciting. Again, Cupid has definitely a lot of potential to control space, get a lot of damage down, especially because of how the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, gets that extra distance when you throw it over terrain. This is a comp that's really hard for TLC to walk into, but it's worth noting, AoE wants to get there first. Having to face check with this comp, it definitely feels a lot worse. And something to think about is that TLC, they did a really good job of getting vision down, controlling space around objectives themselves. So if they find themselves in that position again, I think AoE will have a difficult time playing this game.
Word coming out of Roamer, spots out NXI, some good information to know where the pathing of your enemy jungler is going to be. And we're going to end up in a mirrored situation right here. Keel going down to the bot side at the same time NXI is.
Yeah, we definitely have the pings coming out as well. That early hawkshot is going to give the information onto NXI. So we might see some skirmishing for that bottom scuttle crab, but considering Spawn and Kim down have that prio pretty much on lock, maybe NXI will just be like, you know what, you win this round, Keel. I'm going to go top side.
Already frustrating enough that you got spotted out by Roamer placing down a ward. The hawkshot will be following you most of the time, so NXI has to get a little bit creative with some of the routes he will do if he wants to start getting kills for AoE.
Yeah, you already seen the pings from Keel. You know that. Oh!
Ooh!
Ooh.
Pretty close right there for Cupid underneath that tower. Will find himself some safety. Now TLC kind of spreading out, using that priority they established earlier. NXI looking for a spear, just goes over the top of Kim down.
I think we're just wasting time here as AoE. You already lose this. Now Kim down and Keel can make sure you don't get that fast track onto the top side. Oh, in fact...
Oh, the blast plant will protect NXI. Even put Kill towards the turret. Takes a shot, but you can see the pressure that TLC are looking to apply.
And Roamer, again, we were highlighting earlier how good he was in lane, if not outside of it, in the spring split. And now that laning has given Keel this advantage where they're going to fight it out for this top crab.
That was a nice sidestep from Keel. Gets away from the spear at the point blank, and now Roamer flashes in for first blood and takes down Cupid.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. This is going to guarantee Keel gets... That's right. And Keel's going to be able to get that double crab. Roamer goes flash for flash, but he ends up securing it successfully. And it does mean that NXI has fallen behind just a little bit. Keel's really feeling himself in this early game.
That's Roamer for you. I mean, that's the expectations we had for Roamer. He's really good in lane. Can outplay you just like that. Now Keel setting up in the top lane. Wants to find Mosader! The stun was so quick, he couldn't do a damn thing about it, and TLC are off to the races.
Oh my god, like this is just... You're just getting cooked. You're just getting hand sniffed right now.
You're getting fried, bro.
AoE. Yeah, you are. And now, Cupid is here, but...
Don't want to be there.
There isn't really anything to do. Yeah, you don't want to. It's actually a mirage. This is very dangerous for you.
Go farm, man. Go farm. Get away from them.
And there it is. That's an easy 2-0 start for TLC. A really fast, almost 1,500 gold that they have picked up. And that's what this comp wanted to do in the first place. I was talking about how good of a skirmishing duo this LeBlanc Lee Sin is. You saw what they were able to do early. Now Jenkins is able to help out on the top side too. This only gets harder for AoE.
And a great start coming out for Keel so far. I mean, I was talking back to a lot of those Ginger Turmeric days and Wildcard days. Well, Keel was part of that roster as well. It wasn't just Moose Hater.
Oh my god.
A lot of the team fighting came from Keel, so watching him set up these plays is beautiful. And watching Roamer's style on Cupid, also the same.
You can see now, because of what transpired earlier, Keel's got a pretty solid farm lead that he is maintaining. He's getting really close to level 6, and once you get that Dragon's Rage, your ability to fight just goes up exponentially. So even though TLC haven't really been prioritizing the Drake so far early on like we saw in Game 1. And this time around, it's a Grubs angle for them. And I think they're just very comfortable fighting for whatever really shows up here.
Just comfortable fighting around the world. See fight, take fight.
Yeah.
No, it's the Lee Sin way, so there's a good little play coming out here as Roamer goes right into the ultimate spot of Cupid and chunks him.
That is unreal. Doing it under turret as well.
That easy.
It's that easy. And that's 3 Grubs with no response. Even Kim down. Really nice recognition to guard the Raptors camp. Yeah, Breezy is here, but it's just enough time for the mid-jungle of TLC to show up, so it's time to go.
It's a tough situation right now. Kim down looking for the engage. Sleepy Trouble Bubble finds its mark. Roamer can't chase anymore. So AoE, they're looking for the disengage. That's what they want more than anything else. Cupid just wants a way back home and barely misses the Zenith Blade. Still though, Cupid, you should have bailed, man. Here comes the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Actually, it might be a world of hurt for Roamer.
Breezy!
He gets punted away. Breezy mistimes the pulverize.
Oh, that one hurts. That doesn't feel good. It looked like Cupid might have had a kill there, but unfortunately wasn't able to secure that one as a result.
Both supports, man.
And, oh my god, right now TLC, Deserex, and they're cooking right now. This is that kind of vibe where it's like, oh, we're better than these guys. Let's just fight them all the time. Like, genuinely.
See Jenkins going Sork Boots early, and I mean, that Magic Pen does do a lot of work. You can see from Moose Hater's health bar.
Yup.
Jenkins having a good time in the top side kill. Gonna look to match that energy in the bottom lane. Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands on the Breezy. He's level 5. He doesn't have an ultimate. He doesn't have a way out. Spawn grabs the kill.
Nice and easy. And now TLC can get this dragon at their leisure, which appears to be right now. And, whew, you know, I said TLC were off to the races. We wanted to see them hit the ground running. Eric, help me out with another running analogy. Like, they're sprinting? Like, what do I say?
I don't know, man. I don't know. This is beyond
You're
sprinting.
the funny words, man. Help me.
I don't got anything. They're just too good, bro.
Oh, man. Again, just another clean game coming out so far.
Astrogliding? Is that what
Astrogliding is, as far as I know, a marksman-specific thing. But, you know, we can say for this game, TLC is astrogliding.
I'm purposing it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Look at the map, man. I mean, TLC are not letting up. If you're looking at the lanes, top lane hard shoved in. Same thing with the mid lane. Both of your solo laners are just dominating.
What a scary thing. To be under turret and not be safe.
Cupid's not allowed to play.
Nope. Welcome to NACL. Roamer hopes you enjoy your stay.
And that's always the rough thing about it, because every time you pop the ultimate, Roamer knows exactly where you're going to be.
Yeah, very true.
And that combo will follow.
Oh, man. I'm just racking my brain now. AoE's comp, even though... Oh, man. AoE's comp still works the same way, Eric. The problem is whether or not you're going to be able to get to objectives first. Oh, my God.
There's a lot of problems. Jenkins is a problem, and Moose Hater's trying to deal with that by walking away.
That's all you can do. Oh, hold on.
This time Breezy does have level 6, so he's not in the danger that he was before, but him down, Spawn, they just want to be a menace. Kill now setting his sights onto Moose Hater in the top lane. Wave is crashing into the tower, but Moose Hater knows that there's something waiting.
It's his death.
Yeah, Dragon Rage into the wall. Sonic Wave still lands, follows through, gets the execute. Moose Hater goes down. Now NXI wants a piece of it. Jenkins says he can have the whole damn pie, brother. Jenkins grabs the kill.
Oh my god. And really quickly, I want to give props to Kim Down for the... Oh my god. I want to give Kim Down the props for the Zenith Blade, canceling the recalls. AoE, Wixie and Breezy likely trying to get off the map so that they can move towards this top side in time for those Grub respawns. But I mean, that back getting canceled, it keeps them down there. And with this top side winning as hard as it is, keeping the lane assignments as they are was the best call there for TLC, and it pays off greatly. Because not only do they get the Grub again in, they're up 5 kills to nothing.
Jeez, man. and the impact that Kill has put on this map. As the Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out into the bot lane, Breezy's forced to use his ultimate to try and get away, but TLC want more. They want to make burgers, and Breezy has to bail. The pressure from TLC is too much for AoE's bot side.
And they look at Cupic, spotted on wards, but has to try and pull something off. Oh my god. If I was Kim Down, that would have hit me, man. But unfortunately...
But if it was me...
Yeah, but you know, unfortunately for Cupic, Kim Down is Kim Down, and that bubble didn't land.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier, he was one of the players I was most excited about coming into 2024, knowing that he was on Team Liquid. Romer's still able to slide away from Cupic. And it wasn't the biggest of performances early for TLC. We were hoping to see more. This is what I was expecting at the start of the year. To see this kind of play out of TLC, to see this kind of play out of Kill. 202 right now on the Lee Sin, and he's not stopping.
No, not at all. Problem is, for AoE, the rest of TLC aren't stopping either. Cupic gets a nice trade, but Romer is still very, very strong. He only needs to be in the fray for a few seconds before he can do some lethal damage. Ooh.
Dancing around with the clone with the minion wave. AoE have the first inside track over towards the Dragon Pit. Dragon does spawn in 1 minute. You might have problems elsewhere, especially in the top side. Picture in picture, Jenkins is close to getting first brick.
He's been doing that almost entirely by himself, whittling away at that tower. Oh, here we go.
Soulfiller comes out and chest Crystal Arrow lands onto NXI. And the cat is cleaved down. Zenith Blade onto Breezy. Pop the ultimate. It's not available. Sorry, you're going down as well. Time to chase it, Ezreal. We're just going coast to coast and making AoE feel the hurt.
And they're feeling it up and down Summoner's Rift, Eric. It's an insane gold lead. We are well on track to what we could get close to maybe a 10K lead by 15 minutes. This has just been utter domination from start to finish for the side of AoE. It has just been brutal here. I mean, props to TLC. They've been playing this game out really well.
Chain comes out. Ethereal Chains does find the snare onto Cupic. There's some backup in the bush, and Romer's not going to take the bait. Ed will find a bailout. Now 7.6K in the lead is TLC, as turret plates are going to fall within the next 10 seconds. One more to cash in. That minion go. So close. Nope. Unlucky.
Eric, this is tough. I am racking my brain for what to discuss. Oh. All right, this is your turn. Thank God.
All right. Kim Down is caught in the middle of 4 members of AoE, and he's not long for this one, but Jenkins slicing Maelstrom leaves them in shock and awe. A big team fight win for TLC.
And AoE sliced to ribbons as Romer gets the last blow. On a rampage is Keel and the rest of TLC, because oh my God, Eric. I thought you had a moment, and I thought we were going to see something go well for TLC. But Jenkins, he wasn't interested in any of that. He wants this night to end. He wants our night to end, and he says, don't worry, Eric. Don't worry, Beat Down. We're going to close it out right here and now.
That's Flavor Town. That's Flavor Town right there. That's what Jenkins had told me about all those years ago in the interview. When he presses that R on top of the entirety of AoE, you are dead to rights. 12 kills. 15 minutes, almost a 10K lead. TLC have accelerated this game to holy high hell.
God, they sure have. At this point, part of what's keeping AoE in this one is that there isn't a Baron yet. We're still 5 minutes away from it. But we were pretty close to my guess of a 10K lead at 15 minutes. We're only 500 gold off. So I'm basically right. And, Eric, you know, usually I'm the one who has to try and talk about how teams come back from this one. What do you think?
Oh.
Please, impart me with your wisdom.
They land like 50 pokes.
Yeah.
And then they lose.
Wait, so even still, they lose. All right,
There's
fair
no
enough.
winning beatdown. This is such a fast game by TLC. Look at the kill lines. Everyone's fed. What do you do?
There isn't much to do. We talked about how important it is for AoE's comp to maintain space while they poke. They're now down so much that TLC can start a fight whenever they want, and if you interact with this team, you lose. Look at that. That was 1 W, and the Luden's companion proc onto Moosehater. He lost a chunk of his health just like that. The gold lead at this point is insurmountable.
Roamer's up there looking like Florida man. I ain't afraid no croc. Moosehater is in so much trouble. He can't really do anything in the side lanes when every single person who comes there will look to body you. TLC's lead now hitting that 10K point that we've been waiting for. It's still 3 minutes before Dragon spawns. And now TLC are just looking for setups and picks.
And I will say, take the minute to just continue praising TLC and how good they've looked this series, especially here in this game too, Eric. Again, just seeing that growth from last split, continuing that trajectory we saw from them in the playoffs is definitely a wonderful thing, especially from a roster that at the beginning of last split, we had them top 2, right behind FlyQuest. And we were a little concerned when they were starting to fumble a little bit. So to see them pull it out in the end and to continue that here into Summer Split is definitely very exciting and just further proof this is a team to watch for. Oh.
For a lot of people, this is definitely going to be one of the favorites in the league. True Shot Barrage comes out. Keel's taking a bit of damage, but he's not afraid. No worries. Breezy still waits on the sidelines. I guess this is your real chance, the only chance that you really have to try and find something right now. Recall went out, spawns by himself.
Oh my god, he's actually dead.
You need to get NXI over there right away. We're finally going to find a kill. Let's start the feast. Let's start a party for AoE because they're trying to find a way back in. Autos are coming through. Finally, the shutdown scored by NXI.
There it is, and the second kill for AoE. That's definitely something. A really nice find from Breezy. Now, can they walk away?
Oh, God.
That's the big question.
Roamer out here looking like Jason Voorhees.
I have horrible news, Eric.
Leave them all down. Yeah, you're not escaping. Not getting away. There's no chance out. This is hell. And you're living in it. TLC get 2 more. Just when AoE thought they had something back.
Yeah, and that's the tough part. Being able to, when you make an overcommit play like that, and you successfully cash in on a shutdown, the hope is that you can walk away and you don't lose anything else. That doesn't happen here. So it just allows, one, Jenkins to continue pressuring the other side of the map, and TLC to just keep racking up gold via kills. And, oh my god.
It's like, all right, you drafted a poke comp, well, we got a roamer. He's our poke. Just throws his body in with double distortions.
That's like saying, I'm going to hit you with my fist, and that's poke. As opposed to, like, throwing stuff at you. That's what LeBlanc does.
I mean, if you throw your face at them, it's still stuff being thrown.
But then, does that, so is everything poke then? Because fists count. I'm throwing my fist at someone. Eric, these are the real questions. Like, I need to know.
This is too deep for me.
What do you mean? You started this.
Oh, you got to solve it, Beat. I'm going to leave that one to you.
How could you do this, man? You just leave me with these existential questions.
I'm sorry. When the game's going this fast, there's not many answers that we have other than TLC good.
Oh. You know what? Fair enough. Gonna have to give you that one. Oh, Roamer. At this point, he's feeling himself, too. I mean, 5-0.
Jenkins.
Oh,
he's going to do it. He's good. Slicing Maelstrom comes out. He's able to land it onto 4. Moosehater survives, but just barely. It's enough to be chipped away for the double kill of Roamer. And once again, Jenkins puts an exclamation part into the team fight.
A period, exclamation point, everything you could possibly think of. This man has given at the end of every team fight here for TLC in this game, and we're just going to see it again. This is kind of the ideal of this fight, or rather this comp from AoE. I mean, you know, you took away 10,000 gold, it probably would look a lot better, but this is kind of how you deal with it. The kind of textbook way for TLC. You go for flank angles, you try to get on top of them, and it's good to see that TLC, despite a gold lead, that means they could play this game with their monitors off. It's still a game that they're playing correctly.
See that last bit? That hurt from Wixie. Poor guy tried to shift forward to continue the fight, but was just on the edge of that slicing maelstrom, cost him his life in the process.
You know, it happens to the best of us.
Boy. Here we go again with Roamer, not afraid of the Gator. Half the health of Moose Hater. Roamer's chilling.
All right, Eric, we're going to play a game. It is a game I've been playing a lot lately called Over Under.
Okay.
Over under 25 minutes. TLC win this game. Go.
Over. Get Twitch chat into this as well. If we have any
you
mods
know what?
doing the
can we make a
polls out
poll
there.
over under 25 minutes? Let's all play this game. Even Kai,
our producer said over.
Our observer said says over. A lot of people are in the over category. I'm not just doing this to be different, guys. I am going to say under. I hope we get a poll going. I want to see what Twitch chat has to say.
The only reason I say over is TLC has shown in that last game, they play slow and calculated. It's a very methodical play style that they were doing. Even with this game being so fast, I still feel like TLC are going to look for the proper setups to try and take down AoE. That setup looks to be around Baron.
I mean, it is the objective to play for at this point. I think Ocean Soul really wouldn't impact the outcome of this game. It is really funny in the grand scheme of things to see that Ocean Soul comes up, because this is like the perfect time to have Ocean Soul when you're against the poke comp. But it doesn't actually matter, because being 12k up is it's like having 3 Ocean Souls.
It's like no matter what you do, you just can't get away from this, man. A poke comp, you're getting Ocean Sold.
Yeah,
it went
sorry,
so
man.
fast, you don't even get a chance to really play it.
Even in that Magic world, Eric, where 50 pokes got off, it wasn't going to happen.
Oh, NXI didn't even get to use the blast plant because Gil just jumps in, gives him a little bit of toe jam, and now Jenkins even taking the paddle star. Reezy, what are you going to do here? This is Jenkins. He's fought tougher opponents. He's ready to put the stun in, gets the slicing maelstrom, still standing up and wide, but finally gets shut down by Cupid. Here comes Kill. Looks to find it onto Cupid, but there's Roamer. You can't escape them, man. Another Sonic Wave, resonating strike, goes dominating. Kill will find one. Another received by Roamer and TLC. They're looking to make this under.
Yeah, they heard my predictions, and you know, Keel, my boy, he's trying to make me look smart in front of all my coworkers in Twitch chat. Unfortunately, it's looking like the under gang, aka me, Caddy, our other observer.
You got a minute.
And the rest of, I mean, this game's not going to end in a minute, all right, man? Like, don't patronize me, Eric. I can see the writing on the wall. Anyone in Twitch chat, if you voted under, I'm so sorry. We're going down.
I think I only saw one person say under. I took a quick peek earlier, but...
You know what? Whoever said under, you're my goat. I see you, and I appreciate you.
For the rest of us who are correct, feels good, man. Feels good.
You know, enjoy it while it lasts, Eric. That's all I'm going to say.
Recalls
The next Twitch chat poll, you're not going to be so lucky.
Dragon Soul will be the next thing on the table, as if TLC really need it, man.
No, you don't get it. I've changed my mind. They do need it. Otherwise, it's the most important thing right now. Trust me.
Are we gonna wait for Elder as well?
I actually will be really upset if this game goes to Elder. There's really no reason. That, like, on the real, jokes aside, TLC are 15k up. This game needs to end in the next, like, 2 minutes. I'm not even playing. Like, I don't know how... Cool and calculated is all well and good, but utilizing gold leads is also part of good League of Legends. So let's see.
Make them suffer. Make them regret joining the league.
Oh my god.
Push coming in the mid lane for TLC. Looking for that wave clear. Decent wave clear coming out from AoE. They still have the poke they can try and utilize. Maybe get some of that onto Roamer before he gets it onto you. Roamer chases onto NXI. That's half his health with the simple QR combo. Counter Cursor Arrow gonna land. Want to clean up that next kill onto Cupid, and they'll find just that. Going Godlike's gonna be kill. Tower number 1 down. Tower number 2 in the bot lane will follow it. Inhibitors exposed. You have no mid laner. TLC might go for it. Death March right here, right now.
I think this is going to be the end of it. AoE's looking to make their last stand in this series. And TLC, looking to get their first win off with a bang as they are about to go 2-0 against the new AoE.
It's a last stand, but you got no feet to stand on. Next is tower number 2 collapses. Breezy gets a headbutt, but there's no pulverized slicing Maelstrom to put them down in style. Wixie will not fall. The arrows peppering into Moose Hater, and TLC, second split with this roster. They look phenomenal.
Wow, phenomenal might be an understatement based on what we saw today. Really good stuff from pretty much top to bottom on the side of Team Liquid Honda Challengers. This is exactly what we want to see, from players of this caliber, and also this team that had a pretty solid finish in the back half of Spring Split. And again, a team that we hope continues that going into summer. And it's looking like they're starting off hot.
And how exciting to just see them performing at this level. You said it earlier in the broadcast that this feels like they're just picking up where they left off. Well, it truly does feel like they've taken the time and leveled up in the offseason to be ready for summer.
Yeah, and then conversely, AoE, I mean, this is a roster with some new faces like Cupic, the return of NXI, of course, to Tier 2 play as well after a bit of a break earlier this year. So there's definitely, despite these guys all being friends and cool with each other, there's definitely some of those growing pains. So maybe this won't be that final form of AoE, and we can imagine that they'll be able to level up as the split goes on, at least something like what TLC did in spring.
But for TLC, it was game plan and execution, and even seeing some of those areas that we hoped would be worked on from spring. Jenkins, man, he showed that they are definitely cooking, and I want to hear from him. Be down. I believe you have an interview with him, so we're going to take a moment to throw it over a short break while we get old man Bob Jenkins on to the desk to have an interview. Be down Boulevard.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Rally Cry post-game interview. And of course, like Deserex promised, I have the one and only, the man who's got that dog in him, Jenkins, the top laner from Team Liquid Honda Challengers. Jenkins, first off, I want to congratulate you for such a dominant series against AoE, and I want to thank you for the early night that you've all sent us home for. So right off the bat, it's your first series back after the break. I want to ask you, what was the offseason like for you guys as a team, and what were you guys working on going into the start of summer?
So the offseason was actually a lot easier compared to most off seasons we had. Like right after our loss against Maryville, we took like a couple days off, and Mash gets in a call and says we want to run it back, and I'm like, yeah, let's run it back. I think we had a lot of potential to show. I think it really showed when we finished, I think, 6th in the regular season, and then made a really good run in the upper bracket or proving grounds. But yeah, I think I feel like we picked up right where we left off from the end of summer. I think our macro really showed this game. I think there were some times where it was a bit slow, but I think what we showed today was one of our strongest points as a team.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And actually, speaking of the end of spring, I want to ask you a little bit about that really quickly looking back. So you guys, like you said, you finished 6th in the regular season. You finished 3rd in the end. Talk to me about the feeling behind, you know, a really rough regular season, turning it up towards the end, almost beating FlyQuest. Was it, were you guys happy with growth? Was it bitter or bittersweet because you guys couldn't go as far as you wanted? What was that like?
It was, I would say, bittersweet. We had a lot of I want to say growing pains as like a team going throughout the split. We knew we were very good as a team, but we just couldn't show it on stage, and that's like what hurt the most because we were so close to making finals.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. And I guess you guys were really motivated going into that off season, kind of like you said, going into the split, right?
Yeah, for me and Ryan or Keel, we were both doing college at the time, and now that we're not doing college, we have more time to actually put into the games, especially me. For me, I wanted to do well in school, so it was hard to split time between league and actually doing well in school. And it was hard to actually value what I wanted. Now that I don't have to make the decision anymore, I feel like I can put my all into league again.
Nice. And I mean, speaking of what you wanted, what is it that you want exactly? Is it still LCS for you? Are you still looking to make it to the top, Jenkins?
Yeah, I'd love to play LCS again. I think that's something I really missed playing since when I was last on CLG 2-3 years ago. It's been a while, but LCS is always what I wanted to compete in, and I'm really looking forward to showing myself this split to prove that I can play in LCS again.
Well, you had a fantastic start doing that one in this first series here. 2 great games. You carried on Camille. You carried on the Kennen. It was a great look to see from you, Jenkins. So before we close out this interview, I got to ask you, are there any shout-outs you want to give? Anything you want to say real quick before we close out?
Just shout-outs to all my teammates, especially Mash and Heel. They really helped me stay motivated and trying to take more self-accountability, and just everyone is really putting a lot of effort to show that we could be the best this split. And happy Father's Day.
I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time, Jenkins. I wish you best of luck throughout the rest of your matches. And that's going to be it for the Rally Cry post-game interview. I'm going to bring back Deserex, of course, so he and I can close out the show. Eric, we're not going to talk about the blunder I just made. Instead, we're going to talk about the day as a whole, and I want you to start that one off. No comments. Go. You know, this isn't exactly how I expected, you being muted, but this kind of worked.
See, it works out. It works out. As long as I do a blunder immediately after, it removes yours.
Oh my god, dude.
All right, just focus on me. Just focus on me. How dare I press the mute button?
Duo, man. Bro, nobody's got me like you. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Now that I am back, I can go ahead and bring up the Samsung SSD Fast 5. So take a look at some of the stats that have happened over the course of this weekend. Again, not every team does get to play, given that we are doing best of 3, so we are limited onto that regard, but we do get to see the ones who were out there. And look at that. We just had our interviewee, Jenkins, fastest to 100 CS. He's going to be the one taking that throne.
Hey, well deserved. He's had an excellent series today. And another thing that stands out to me is, the jungle fastest level 6, Keel, another Team Liquid Honda Challenger member who's made it onto the Samsung SSD Fast 5. And of course, Yuji from Dragon Steel, our MVP from Spring Split, putting up numbers as always.
Go Shochi. Just going to throw Shochi up there.
Yeah, dude, do that. Good. My goat.
And Minui. Shochi and Minui together? Wait. That's lit right there. That's good.
That's true. You love that, right?
Shout out to some of our Dragon Steel players, because I don't know if you saw that series. That series was a
I did.
banger, man.
It was great.
Able to come back from that and get some top on these stats. Definitely got to feel good, but we're going to start wrapping up now. It's pretty much a pretty great weekend. You got anything you want to say before we close out?
I want to say thank you for being here with me, Deserex. I'm glad we got to see TLC and what feels like soon to be their final form, and I think we just had a great day of games, so Thank you for being here with me, and thank you for blundering with me. There's nothing more I could ask for.
We want to thank you all, audience members, for joining us as well. Remember, there's different things you could do to support the scene, including subscribing to the Twitch channel. Some of the proceeds do go towards the players and help build this community even more than it is. But for the broadcast, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I have been Deserix. This has been Beatdown Boulevard, and we'll see you next week for more North American Challengers League.